You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Oh, it's a big day here in Jacksonville. It's a big day around the National Football League. The countdown is on. Jags Twitter is out of its mind, ready for the disappointment of a Tuesday. Panic? I don't know. Just normal disappointment, maybe here in Jacksonville. Meanwhile, the business of the NFL takes center stage, not only here in Jacksonville, but across the league with moves like Russell Wilson and the dead cap space on Russell Wilson. Whoa, does that catch your attention? Unbelievable. What a bad move by the Denver Broncos. What does it mean for Russell Wilson? The quarterback carousel starting to heat up a little bit. Caleb Williams to Chicago. Is it a done deal? That's the story coming out of the Combine. What does that mean for Justin Fields? Trey Lance, Minnesota rumors? And how about Kirk Cousins, Atlanta rumors? There's a lot going on in the NFL. Silly season is here, and it ain't so silly in Jacksonville. This is serious business when it comes to Josh Allen and then Calvin Ridley, and it's definitely in that order. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane, Jason Hamby. Good Tuesday, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us yesterday, and thanks for hanging out with us once again today. Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, live and well, and you can always catch us out on the Action News Jax app and also on actionnewsjax.com. Now, those are our newest platforms, which also sprinkle onto many other platforms in tow. All right, does it get done or not?
I mean, you're hoping so that it gets done. I'm still going to hold out faith, and they're going to throw the Brinks truck at Josh Allen, and then in doing so, can tag Calvin Ridley. I mean, this is black and white. It's simple. If you don't pay Josh Allen and you don't franchise tag Calvin Ridley, you might lose Calvin Ridley. And that's, I think, a lot of fans fear right now. And then in losing Calvin Ridley, is there a backup plan in free agency that's going to replace Calvin Ridley? Probably not. So, I mean, it's really easy if you're a Jaguars fan to look at. If you don't franchise tag Calvin Ridley, then it could be a failure of an offseason. Yeah, I mean, at least from that standpoint. Now, Josh Allen, we know he's going to get paid eventually, right? But it's got to come down to today. So that's what Jaguars fans are looking at right now. And the whole Mike Evans deal yesterday didn't help things because it shows that you can get a franchise guy with a high price tag done before the franchise tag. Tampa Bay just showed that. So now Jaguars fans are seeing that and saying, well, if Tampa Bay can do it, why can't the Jaguars do it?
Yeah, and, here's one of the reasons why the Jags can't, not get a deal done, but they can't just automatically keep Calvin Ridley. It's because there's two players. And we said this yesterday, and I think maybe one of the best things that we talked about yesterday was that there is precedent with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley a year ago. So that should give you a little bit of hope that something can be done. I don't know how much hope there was at this time last year in New York that deal was going to get done and Saquon Barkley was going to get tagged. I know there was a little bit more ambiguity on whether people wanted to get that deal done with Daniel Jones. But I'm just saying, in the 24 hours before the day of the franchise tag, did people actually think that was going to happen? If I remember correctly, I don't think people did. I think people wondered. Who are they going to use the tag on? How is this going to go down? Were they going to lose Saquon Barkley? Well, could they negotiate something with him over these next 5 days if it didn't go down? So I think the Jags are in a very similar situation. I actually don't believe there's a lot of drama here, but Austin's been saying this. We've kind of been having fun with this. It'd be great to be wrong in this situation. I just don't think there's a lot of drama. I think what happens today is a basic formality. Josh Allen is going to get tagged before the 4 o'clock deadline. We'll hear that news at some point coming out, and then the next phase of this happens, and that becomes all attention on Calvin Ridley, because how this does work doesn't mean the Jags lose Calvin Ridley today if they don't tag him. I think we just got to make sure we roll that out there and not assume everybody knows what's going on. The Jags then can still negotiate until Monday when the legal tampering stage begins in the NFL, and that's when every other team can kind of get in the mix and get their claws on Calvin Ridley. And that is when we believe, because of the Mike Evans stuff, those dollars are going to go up a little bit more. It's going to be tougher to bring him back, and so on and so forth. So there are definitely a couple of things that still can work in the Jags' favor. I know people don't kind of believe that, but you can get a deal done with Josh Allen in the 11th hour. Mm-hmm. And then tag Ridley. You could also tag Josh, eventually get a deal done over the next few months, and try to get a deal done with Calvin Ridley over the next few days. Now, it comes at a cost of a second-round pick, but I feel like the way the Jags fan base is reacting, at least the ones we interact with right now, I don't think they care about that second-round pick, quite frankly.
But when you talk about drama, though, and you're not worried about drama after, so let's just say that Josh Allen gets tagged. Isn't there the drama of losing out on Calvin Ridley then? Isn't there the drama of sacrificing a third-round pick for a one-year rental, and now Trevor Lawrence wondering, okay, well, then what's the next step going to be? Like, doesn't that create drama?
Well, it'll create drama. I just don't think it's the end of the story. I think that drama continues next week.
Okay.
Right? Because there are still moves. First of all, it's got to happen. You're going to lose him. You got to definitely say, we're not going to go give up that second-round pick. We're not going to come up with a deal. The last that we heard it, take away these deadlines. The last that we heard it a week ago today at the NFL Combine, we're up in Indianapolis. Brent Baalke said he had Calvin Ridley in his office days earlier, and they were having conversations. So I just don't think that can be dead until it's dead. We can talk about that a little bit later or tomorrow and say, okay, what's the chances? I do think that's questionable because I think it's on both sides. Do you want to hold out if you're Calvin Ridley and see how much money you can get? And do the Jags want to give up that second pick? So it's going to go back to that conversation. I'll throw one other thing out there, Austin, and we're going to talk a couple of mock drafts today. I know mock draft season's kind of crazy, and we get into mock draft even more in April.
Come on.
But there really are a lot of receivers that are available where the Jags are picking at 17. Like, there's a good receiver the Jags could land on at number 17. So, I mean, do we have to ask ourselves the question, maybe the Jags have to ask themselves this too, is it the end-all, be-all to get Calvin Ridley back here when you could potentially get a 23-year-old wide receiver, first-round pick at number 17? And by the way, guys that have been picked over the years in that same area,
sure.
CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, okay? I'm not saying that that's who they're going to get, but you can find that guy that can be instant impact and a very good player in the draft at 17 for a cheaper option and also, obviously, a younger option.
Sure, and you can find Puka Nacua in later rounds as well, but can this team find that guy?
Yeah, that's fair. That's
fair.
fair.
And I don't think so. At least history hasn't shown that with Trent Baalke. So I would rather go with the sure thing of, okay, I mean, do you lose out on a guy in the first round that's going to have some talent? Possibly. But I at least know with Calvin Ridley, you know what? You're probably going to get a better version of him last year. And if that's the case, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think, this is something I thought about a little bit today. I think so much of this stuff is faith in the organization, right? And this is an organization that's had a lot of trouble doing things well consistently over the years. Brent Baalke obviously doesn't scream faith for the fan base. I understand all that. But if I just asked you this, if I asked you that this was the Baltimore Ravens making this decision and they don't get Calvin Ridley and they have the 17th pick,
yeah,
do you have confidence that they can find a receiver? I mean, they just found Zay Flowers.
Well, yeah, but keep in mind that it's been a lot of hit and miss with the Baltimore Ravens and finding a receiver.
They've been a good drafting team.
They've been a great drafting team, but wide receiver has never been their strong suit. Until, we'll see with Zay Flowers.
It looks like a good start. Yeah.
It's a good start, but I mean, they also invested in that dude from, was it Bateman?
Oh, yeah, Bateman.
From Western Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of was a whatever kind of guy.
But my point is there's faith in the Baltimore organization that they're going to make the right moves.
Sure. Yeah,
which we don't have here in Jacksonville. Right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, Baltimore always drafts strong. Now, like I said, I think certain positions they do better on, tight end being one of those positions. I mean, they're always a dominant tight end drafting franchise. But in terms of Jacksonville, yeah, they haven't drafted well at wide receiver, and Trent Baalke hasn't drafted well at wide receiver either.
Well, we'll get some early news in the chat. Delphonic wants me to call Trent and get the deal done. I sent him a text message.
I don't know what we're doing. I don't know if you got too much in that Venmo account where he's trying to get some back, but yeah, it's easy as that.
Nathan is begging this morning, please, Jaguars, please, please, please. I don't know he's fully pleasing. I'm assuming it's both moves here because one of them's going to happen. One move's going to happen. You're going to get at least one of the two.
Hey, Brent, let's establish one thing right now. Nobody wants Josh Allen tagged. Okay, so don't say one of these things are going to happen. Yeah, that's a possibility. No one is rooting for right now. They're going to take Josh Allen. Let's go in the streets. No one's rooting for that.
Well, that is true. Delphonic said I'd still tag Ridley and draft Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay.
Wow, that's loading up the receiver position.
Okay.
Now maybe that means you're getting rid of Zay Jones or somebody like that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting.
I mean, he's the one that I can see falling to the Jaguars. I don't think Neighbors is going to go to the Jaguars. No. I don't think the Odunze is going to go.
You got those three guys are going in the top 12, right?
Correct. Brian Thomas Jr. could be there, or Xavier Worthy if you're feeling more of the speed guy. But once again, I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. is 6'4", and that's going to be your prototypical one receiver, you would think.
And ran 4.3.
Yeah.
4.33.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'd be a guy that could excite you a little bit.
Give me AD.
AD?
Yep.
Adonai Mitchell?
Adonai? Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I like calling him a Donnie, but okay. Adonai Mitchell. I
can
mean,
go with it.
Call him
you
whatever
could
you
probably
want.
get him in the second round, yay or not?
He's like 24 to 36 range kind of.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, the Jags are going here. That is the one thing here, and the Jags think this way. This is how NFL people think, and I know again, I get the trust factor with the Jags organization, fully understand it. But I'm just telling you, this is how organizations think. Like they can get a guy in the draft, and they also like Christian Kirk and probably like Zay Jones, and they like Evan Ingram, and they like ETN. Like they can get a guy like this. This has all of a sudden fallen into Calvin Ridley or nothing kind of conversation. I get the idea about Calvin Ridley. Listen, you go all the way back to 3 weeks ago when we were talking about this stuff, when we started the show again. Mm-hmm. I said, what would I do? I'd give up that second-round pick and I'd sign Calvin Ridley. What do I think they're going to do? Not that.
Sure.
So I think it's leaning toward a not that. And I haven't wavered there. I think they're going to lose him to free agency, most likely. And I think they're going to have to go with a different option. And we can agree or disagree, but we're not going to know until late April once they kind of figure things out in the draft, which I think they can correct what feels like a miss potentially if they want to invest in receiver early. I mean, heck, I've even thrown out the idea, why don't you trade up and get one of those big three guys if you really like them? I doubt they do that, but you do have more options as a front office person making decisions. The Ridley, you are not backed into the corner on Ridley. You are backed into the corner on Josh Allen. Like you have got to sign Josh Allen. It is way more important for this organization to sign Josh Allen than it is to sign Calvin Ridley.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, but it's plain as day. I mean, everyone's got Josh Allen at the top of their list. So you think Calvin Ridley's going to be gone then?
Yeah, I still haven't changed my mind on that.
So do you think that you're going to lose him just because someone's going to overpay him and the Jaguars won't match that?
Well, I think there are a few things going on, Austin. I think first of all, they're not going to be able to use a tag on him, so that's one.
For sure.
Secondly, I think if I'm the agent of Calvin Ridley, after what I've just seen and my guy shoves to the top, my price goes up, which means I want next week to happen for my client, which means I play a little more hardball even with the Jags trying to throw an offer this week, even if they want to give up the second-round pick. I also don't believe that the Jags truly want to give up the second-round pick. I do not think they want to go from pick 17 to pick 96 and sit on their hands for some, whatever that number is, like 79 picks.
Could they theoretically trade up, though, with some of those other picks that they have and trade back
they
up?
Could.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't have to sit, but they'd go in the draft looking like they were going to sit on their hands for about 36 hours or whatever it is, you know? So I don't think they want to do that. And because of all those things, and then once he hits March 11th, he's gone. Like I've said that from there. They are not, he's gone. If he's getting to March 11th, it ain't happening, folks. I mean, we did a whole bit on that. It wasn't a bit. It was reality. Somebody will overpay. Somebody has more money. And I just don't see him coming back. I still think that's like the ultimate get if he somehow hits next week's legal tampering period and the Jags are able to pull him back in. That would be amazing to me, and I just don't see it happen.
So you don't see the Jaguars overpaying for him? You think someone's going to overpay the Jaguars? Because, I mean, we had the conversation yesterday. If the prices were the same, you think that he would stay in Jacksonville over like a team like Kansas City or whoever the case may be? Yeah,
I don't think, though, the Jags are going to – I think the Jags right now might be in a neighborhood, let's just say before 2 weeks ago, maybe in a $17 to $18 million a year neighborhood. That was my guess.
Okay.
I think now that neighborhood just jumped to like 21, 22 million a year.
Okay.
And maybe more. I don't even know. But, I mean, based on Mike Evans, he just got more money, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no doubt. I think we all agree that. So are the Jags sitting here on tomorrow and Thursday and Friday and talking to Calvin Ridley's folks and saying, hey, we're willing to go to 22? Mm-hmm. I doubt that. That doesn't seem – we're willing to go to 17, 18. We're going to raise it by $5 million before anybody even else gets in the game. I just don't see that's the way this works. What I did say to you yesterday is like, I don't care if you want to go ahead and do it. Like, it's not my money. And what's the difference between $4 and $5 million if you really want to keep the guy? But I don't think they want to go $5 million more over their what they had planned and give up the second round pick.
Okay, but then let me ask you this: if he was going to get tagged, he'd make $20 million, correct?
Yes, for 1 year.
So they would be cool with paying $20 million, but they wouldn't be cool paying $22 million for 2 years or 3 years, whatever the case may be.
Well, because if you do this on like relative to, again, Mike Evans' deal, he just got $35 million.
Sure.
Right, with $29 million in year one, I think is the report. Mm-hmm. Again, that's like That's significant money.
No, I get that, but I'm saying you're not going to pay Calvin Ridley 22 if you're willing to pay him 20. To me, if they sign Josh Allen before the tag, and then they franchise tag Calvin Ridley, I have the feeling the people in that building, and Trent Baalke included, would be going crazy. Like, we did it. That's what we wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So then if you tag him and pay him $20 million, you're saying that they wouldn't be cool paying him $22 million for an extra year?
I guess what I'm saying is it's more than $22 million. You're playing bonus money right off the rip. Your $21 million franchise tag really just turned into probably $32 million of guaranteed money.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's the issue, is the guaranteed. It's not against the cap. I mean,
No, not the cap stuff.
Okay.
I think that's what it turns into.
Okay.
And listen, I could be wrong. You just brought something up that isn't. I do think if all things are equal, I think Ridley's fine being here. Now, unless feelings get hurt over the next week or so and things start to go sour, which can always happen in negotiations. But I don't think the Jags' MO, the way Baalke talks, the way a lot of GMs talk, and this might just be in front of a microphone so they don't show their hand, is not necessarily to go, hey, yeah, we're willing to jump in with an extra $5 to $10 million. Like, you usually don't go from 17, 18 to 22. The market now says it over the last couple of days. It didn't say it like 2 weeks ago. I don't think it screamed it. And the other thing here is this, Austin. I think they're going to budget themselves. And I think they say, well, listen, if we don't get him back, we've got options in the draft here. Like, we have another way to get a receiver.
Sure.
Like, the bottom line is, this is why I go back to Josh Allen here. We don't necessarily have a path to get another Josh Allen.
No, I mean, let's establish Josh Allen's a Jaguar for a long time to come. If they somehow fumble that bag, then you're asking for people's jobs. Like, that's not going to happen. I agree with that. But I also think that, all right, if you want to address wide receiver in the draft, that's fantastic. If that's the plan to replace Calvin Ridley, the first round's probably going to have a guy, maybe the second round as well. But keep in mind, you need other things as well. You need interior on both sides of the ball. Yeah, cornerback. Like, there's some things that you still need.
Well, we're going to go over some of those mock drafts. That's an interesting thing because I think this is kind of a wild puzzle piece for the Jags, because as I look at some of these mock drafts and I see some of the guys floating around, whether it's the center out of Oregon, whether it's some receivers that are like, that's pretty appealing at number 17. Like, I think there are receivers that are appealing right in that spot for the Jags. Then we go to the corners, right? And there's a bunch of corners there. And then you could take a Byron Murphy type, right? And you're like, oh, that actually fits a need. Makes some sense. What do they do in free agency? He could be there at 17. I think there's there really are a lot of ways the Jags can go that kind of check off some of the needs. I also think free agency over the next week will indicate that. The only moves it's just not two moves being made here. It's not just Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley. The Jags will sign some guys, I would believe, to Band-Aid some of these spots up, and just how aggressive do they get is something we'll have to see in about another 10 days or so. But Josh Allen is really the first domino here. Like, that is the really the most important thing. And I know you feel it, and we all feel it. He's going to at least get tagged. He's going to have an extension. Like, that still has to happen. Like, that hasn't happened yet, but it still has to happen. And because it hasn't come out yet, I mean, guys like T. Higgins, it's already been announced, right? Like, there are, who was a Snead yesterday? Already announced, I think, for Kansas City, that he got tagged. Is that right?
Correct, but they're also taking trade offers as well.
It sounded like there was some trade, although that trade offer seemed a little goofy. I don't know if they were just throwing stuff out there as well or what. But bottom line is, are you a little surprised that the tag hasn't been used yet? And does that tell you that they might be still trying to get something done in these hours that await?
For the Jaguars you're talking about? Yeah, I mean,
with Josh.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because once again, in the perfect world with Trent Baalke, he wants to pay Josh Allen and then franchise tag Calvin Ridley. So, what is it? It's like the 3 o'clock deadline or 4 o'clock deadline?
4 o'clock at Eastern, yeah.
So I think he's going to try to work it till 3:55, 59. And then if you get it done, fantastic. If not, then you franchise tag Josh Allen. But, they're going to exhaust all the time allotment that they have just because for them to win, truly, I feel like, for them to keep both, you got to take Calvin Ridley and you got to pay Josh Allen. And, you can put Ridley on the back burner right now because it's all about Josh Allen. You pay him and then on to Ridley.
Yeah, a lot of people talking in the chat. And, it is one thing about, there's a thought from Nathan Dean, load up on the offensive side with even Adunze and Ridley, or somebody else mentioned Brian Thomas. you do kind of wonder, should they be loading up on the offensive side? There's so much talk about the defense right now with Josh Allen and all these rumors that we've heard about, like Burns and Hunter, and I think even Reddick has been rumored about. And so it sounds like they're loading up on that defensive front side, Austin. I mean, you got Christian Wilkins out there now. We're talking about, could they draft an interior defensive lineman? I do wonder if the other side of this is, how do you load up on the offensive side? How can you get even more and more dangerous on the offensive side, from interior play to getting Ridley back potentially to maybe even adding a player in the draft? Like, and just go, hey, we are going to be loaded around our franchise quarterback, around our offensive-minded head coach.
So here's what I trust. I trust Ryan Nielsen to elevate this defense of what they have right now than what they were last year. As far as this offense is concerned, it's hard to trust it right now. You know, whether it's with Doug Peterson calling the plays or Press Taylor calling the plays, we'll see. The new exciting thing, at least, that you can look forward to, I think, is the elevated play of a Jaguars defense and two bookends coming back who are probably going to even get better in production. Now, if they move, Trayvon Walker down in the middle, you know how I feel about that. But whatever the case may be, I expect this defense to get better. Now, do you need to address some things, interior corner? Sure. But, if it's me and what makes me excited, keep in mind, I'm a defensive side of the ball kind of guy, and defense wins games. But, man, if you can get Calvin Ridley here, sure, franchise tag him, whatever the case may be. If you want to draft another wide receiver in the first round, I won't be opposed to that. Brent, say, Calvin Ridley, hey, we love you, man. Guess what? Do what you do in Atlanta. Go and be number 2. Go and be a deep threat. We'll get a guy like Brian Thomas or maybe, Keon Coleman, drop, whatever the case may be. We'll get our big play, number 1 wide receiver. You're the 2. Christian Kirk's the 3. It'll be like the Cincinnati Bengals of the South, man. Yeah. And I'm all for that, because you saw what they did with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. Yeah, now sometimes the stats can, say it's a little padded and people have their own opinions on him. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback because, he has great weapons, right? You have Evan Ingram. You could have Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk coming back healthy. If you add a couple more, Calvin Ridley and another receiver, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's fun. That's exciting. And now if you're Doug Peterson, if you're Press Taylor, you have zero excuses not to succeed.
And Trevor Lawrence.
Obviously Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, but I'm just saying,
So, I think that's what I think that's what's kind of been missing over the years from this organization. The Jags have spent a lot of money in spots. But there are other organizations that are willing to say, hey, we are going to be so good here that we're not going – you're not going to be able to catch us. The Dolphins kind of have done it, right? They got Waddle and Tyreek Hill. A lot of teams would have said, hey, we got Tyreek Hill or we have Waddle. That's good enough.
Yeah.
They didn't. We got plenty of speed. No, we're going to go get more speed.
Yeah.
The
Lions have done it.
The Lions
Eagles with Devontae Smith
keep doing it. The Eagles did it. You're right.
Well, I'm saying Jameson Williams.
We might be seeing a Houston team that's willing to do it. They have Tank Dell, right? They've got C.J. Stroud. They've got a couple of backs, but they may even upgrade there. They've got I think they can do better at tight end and other places. But they might try to load up that offensive side of the ball. Be interesting to see. Or do you balance things out? And I think it would be really fun around here, because we've been saying, hey, get Calvin Ridley back. What are you going to do if you don't have Calvin Ridley back? You got to replace him. Well, what if you get Calvin Ridley back and get his future replacement as well? Yeah. Or in addition, at least for another year or two. So the Jags have been unwilling to do things like that, it feels like, over the years, and just load up and say, here we go. Come get us. Mm-hmm. But, man, would it feel pretty good with Trevor, with Doug. Talk about how aggressive he is. Why not? Go do that. And I think that is, from some of the chat talking, I don't disagree with them. I think you're pretty decent on defense. Do you have to get better in spots, to your point? Yeah. But, man, can you become this high-flying team that when you line up, people are really scared of you on offense? And I think that would be very appetizing.
Listen, you still have to adjust offensive line, right? A center could be in play. Interior, you got to be able to block. But keep in mind, and once again, we always play the games of comparing teams, but if you look back in 2021, the Cincinnati Bengals, when they went 10-7, and they had an opportunity to drop Penei Sewell, and they ended up getting Jamar Chase because that's what Joe Burrow wanted. Well, what happened with the next following year? I think it was the next year. Then they go to the Super Bowl, and they were 7th in the NFL in points. Obviously, team offense was high. T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, Mixon. Points against, team defense, bottom half of the league. Defense wasn't really being talked about. Like they sustained, created turnovers, things like that. I could see the Jaguars doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't see the Jaguars being a top 5 defense next year unless Ryan Nielsen wants to get a head coaching job in the following year. I don't see that.
Well, that offense can make that defense better.
But if that offense can make that defense better and be, like the Bengals a la 2021, if you can be number 7 in team offense and number 17 in team defense, you can go to the Super Bowl. That can be done.
Here's what gets you a little excited about the idea that, and again, I don't know if the Jags are going this way. They just don't seem this bold. They just don't seem this brash when it comes to this. They seem very more conservative, building like this old-fashioned way, being well-balanced, being good across the board. And there's something to be said for that, by the way. I'm not telling you can't win like that. But I do think if you had this kind of scenario where you really loaded up that offensive side, first of all, when somebody gets hurt, like Zay Jones or Christian Kirk this year, maybe you don't lose as much. Mm-hmm. Right? That's one thing. But if you just went in, let's just say they're able to, they upgrade center. Whatever, if they really just upgrade center on the offensive line, I think everybody else will be happy and figure out the offensive line. Maybe not truly happy, but at least happier. You've got Ingram, Etienne, Trevor. You got Kirk. You'd have Ridley. And you maybe you have to lose Zay Jones in this scenario, but you go draft a young guy, right? If you did go into that and you're like, whoa. You also on the defensive side, whether we might claim that they're a top 12 defense, top 15 defense, top 18 defense, whatever it might be, they do have going into next year, as long as they tag Josh Allen and sign him today, the number 1 sack duo in the National Football League.
Correct.
Don't forget about that part. I mean, at that premier position, they've got the sack monsters there. I mean, they got them.
Go ahead and dump that. Go ahead and dump the sack monsters, please.
What, Saxonville's not? Saxonville's okay, but
Saxonville is just fine. The sack monsters?
Why not?
Yeah, we got to do better.
No,
why not? That's a great shirt.
We had New Sack City, and that was fine. We're not doing
New Sack City is better than the Sack Monsters.
We are doing random drug testing. If you think that,
I could see a Sack Monster shirt right there.
Somebody's
going to send you one for free.
It's not a Sack Monster shirt. Don't know about this one. Hey. If you think Sack Monsters is better than New Sack City, we're doing random drug testing at noon. Hamby, start drinking some water.
Well, I'm drinking coffee, so I'm going to have to get a lot more water.
I'm telling you, you're out of your element on that one, man.
My noontime news will be your
what else is
results.
Here, let's go to the kids' corner real quick. Hamby, are you going New Sack City, which is a movie you probably have never heard of before, New Jack City, or are you going The Sack Monsters?
I'm going any alternative to Sack Monsters because that sounds like.
What are you thinking, man?
That sounds like a 6-year-old. That's like the worst note he knows is monster or something.
We just launched this stream and now it's all in jeopedy because of Sack Monsters.
Listen, we're playing to the Nickelodeon crowd just like the rest of the NFL.
We are?
Man.
I wasn't aware.
Don't play the kids
corner.
Don't play off to the kids though, man, because the kids are cheering for the Ravens and the Chiefs right now. Okay.
New Sack City's way better. Delphonic.
Yeah, come on, man. It's
Go
not
back
even
to work, Delphonic.
It's not even a competition.
Delphonic's time is coming later in the show.
Yeah, Delphonic always has time on this show, Hamby. You'll learn.
Sack Monster is ridiculous. No way. Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about, everybody?
The Panthers did just tag Brian Burns, so they ended up going that route, interestingly enough. All right, let's take a break. Get out of here, Hamby. It's time to go. When we come back, Brian Burns off the board, it sounds like, so let's verify that, at least according to the chat. We do have some things popping other than Sack Monsters in the chat. That is on the way as we continue to watch, and the clock ticks now. Inside 6 hours for the Jaguars to use that franchise tag on Josh Allen and see if they can get a deal done and somehow keep Calvin Ridley in the mix as well. We take a break. The Brent Austen Show. It was always the Jags. Just seems like it has several meanings. Very ambiguous slogan, depending on which day it is. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 1.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jacks the best in Jacks and Folio's Best of Jacks 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jacks local coverage you can count on.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jacks This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
What is going on inside that building? How often do you ask that?
Good question. Sorry, I was on Twitter watching you get roasted for sack monsters.
He's a beautiful treasure, isn't he?
I understand that you have a lot of pull with the Jaguars. I get it. On the under the table.
I don't think Sack Masters was that bad.
I'm telling you right now, if I see sack monsters come through that Jaguar social media, I'm out. And when I say I'm out, show, Jaguars, everything. I'm out. We move. Hey, what's up, Lions? You know, I'm just saying, man. I can't come with you on sack monsters.
That's fine.
How about the sack pandemic?
Oh gosh.
Or no, I'm sorry. The sack was the sack epidemic. Epidemic. There you go. Yeah,
that's a little bit better.
The sack epidemic.
That's better.
Better than pandemic.
He's too young. He doesn't know where it's coming from.
Hey, speaking of the Jags and their optics,
yeah,
I think this stuff's so overblown. I know you don't. You think the optics matter, don't you?
This is the best thing ever.
Yeah, like, hey, when I go on Twitter, I would prefer not to see a Sports Illustrated article making fun of the Jaguars for firing somebody on their birthday.
Yeah, but that's what Sports Illustrated and like the all these.
Oh yeah.
All these other things that are just grabbing content. That's what they want. They need to
How
do
many
it.
times
they need the Jags to help them out.
Okay, but like, do you see the Packers doing this? Do you see the Steelers doing this?
I feel like.
Do you see the Ravens doing this?
I bet they have, and we're just not paying attention.
Okay. Well, the next time I see a Ravens article come out about how they fired a guy on their birthday and Sports Illustrated reports, I'll let you know. But until that time, I've only seen the Jaguars do it.
Listen,
I mean, you don't care about optics, but I do, man.
I think we get too wrapped up in the optics, man.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel bad that they wished happy birthday. And I like Foley Fatukasi a lot. I don't feel bad that they wished him a happy birthday on social media because they probably had it planned like since last
that's what
January,
I
right?
even said that. Yeah, I agree with that.
And then he gets cut on the same day. Like, I tweeted this and I said I'd feel a lot better if the guy had produced a lot more for $10 million a season.
Get him, Brent. Now he's off the team. Brent's starting to run his mouth about him. Okay.
I'm just saying, it's
not going to see him in the locker room anymore.
We're worried about the birthday salute instead of did he give you enough for $10 million a year?
I got a video for you guys.
I got Foley on speed dial right now. I'm bring
him in. That's fine.
I'm kidding.
He would probably say the same. I should have produced more for $10 million a year.
He definitely underachieved for sure.
What do you got here, Hamby? You got Delphonic? Delphonic.
Happy birthday to you.
I haven't seen this yet. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Thanks for the slow-mo audio, too, when you're editing that. I appreciate it, Hamby. Hamby's so funny because he's new at this, so he doesn't know Delphonic.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till he starts roasting you, Hamby. It'll be even more classic.
I'll laugh just as hard. That was hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, just don't give him ammunition. Yeah, just don't call them sack monsters. You don't get roasted. But Brent's getting roasted on Twitter. It's all good.
But, I mean, come on. Like, do you think the Jags front office in this spot, like I'm trying to put myself in their position.
Yeah.
Should the front office know that it's his birthday and not cut him? Or say, hey, go down to the social media team, make sure we don't put anything down. I would love to see that attention to detail, by the way. I really would.
No, like, listen, this probably couldn't have been avoided. Like, they're not going to interact with their social media team. It's not like Trent Baalke is like, hey, we're cutting, Fatukasi today. Make sure that, you don't put that birthday. Like, they don't do that. I understand that. And I'm not even that upset about it, but it's more bad optics. Like, I'll laugh at it because I think it's funny. Not to say you got cut on your birthday. That's not hilarious or anything. I'm just saying, what else can you do? Like, how can you top yourself? We had, who's the dude from England who's doing the draft thing now?
Nah, yeah.
What's his captain something? I think it is.
I don't know if that's a made-up name or if it's a name. I don't even know anymore. I've lost that one.
He ain't helping things. Firing somebody on their birthday ain't helping things. Like, it's just a bunch of things that really aren't helping things, Brent.
Well, especially on the social media stuff. Like, again, we love social media. This is where we play our show a bunch. But it is just a segment of the population. Like, there are so many people yesterday that have no idea that he was wished happy birthday.
Sure.
And then cut. They just know that he was released.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm still not convinced Trent Baalke knows that the team wished him happy birthday in the bubble that he lives in.
Maybe not, but news outlets do. I don't know, man. I don't want to get made fun of, right? You've been through enough here in Jacksonville, and I don't need like the little things as well. Like, if you're winning, if you're producing back-to-back playoff runs every single year, if this happened with the Chiefs, who cares, right? Like, it's the Chiefs, man. It's the Super Bowl. Yeah. The organization's whatever. But when it's the Jaguars, it's like, what more do we got to go through? I said we, like I'm still playing, but you know what I'm saying.
His name is Captain Duvall, apparently, and Delphonic does not acknowledge that name for him, though.
He's already got something up of you, Brent, that he just put up about sack monsters.
You're catching up here, Hamby. Keep catching up on Twitter.
Hey, man, already addressed that 3 times.
That was how we got laughing going into the show, Hamby. Hamby, you're 23 years old. Get on social media quicker.
Well, hey, speaking of, there's apparently breaking news that Facebook and Instagram are down for a lot of users.
Really?
I just got that alert. Action News Jack's out.
Well, it sounds like you'd be on Facebook.
Brent, you okay? You okay, man? You stressing?
As long as Twitter's up, I'm good.
Okay. Good.
The Duval TV, we signing Ridley and Josh today. I don't freaking know. Mike is right. A birthday after the 21st is just another day until you get to 50. I agree. And I think it was Nathan who said, make sure you watch out for every text on November 9th that I send you.
Oh, good call. Yeah.
It must be your birthday.
That's my birthday, man. I mean, creepy that he knows that, but I appreciate it.
He probably just looked at
and someone just said, is it wiped? The Jaguars wiped that Fadakasi thing?
I don't know. Did they?
I think he's talking about Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, okay. I got you. Because that'd be kind of fun. I mean, let me see.
Hey, listen, this is good for you, Hammy.
Oh, yeah,
Matt just said, my
there.
Mom did text to ask about Facebook and Instagram.
Stay hot, Matt.
Brent Martineau Austen Lane, Brent and Austin Show. Hey, here's the deal. Brian Burns tagged.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one. Did he, when things looked like it was falling out with Burns, I thought he actually might be available.
Yeah.
But they tag him to maybe, I almost wonder if they saw the optics. Carolina was like, what are you guys doing, right?
Well, let me ask you this, though. Do you think they tagged him in plans of trading him? Because, I mean, he's too good of a guy just to let go and say you're worth nothing. The guy's going to pull something. So, I mean, whether they want to keep him or not, the fact that you tagged him shows that you at least want to get some kind of capital for him.
Yeah, this is their last-ditch effort to do that. But now does that price go down? Or do they now work out an extension and say you're a blockbuster part of our franchise, right? You're a cornerstone. The other thing I would say is this. From the business side of things, Austin, he only had, I believe it was 8 sacks. Maybe I saw that late in the season. Maybe he got an extra one in the last game or something. But he had like 8 sacks this year. That was it. Nobody seemed to play that well on Carolina, but he had 8 sacks. Are they making him say, hey, show it to us again, right? We'll franchise tag you. It costs us $24 million, but it's not going to cost us $100 million coming off an 8-sack season.
Yeah, I mean, guy's got 46 tackles total. He had 8 sacks last season. He's kind of made a name for himself, Brent, I feel like, in that organization. You know, like maybe he kind of underachieved last year, and once again, I think like that whole team underachieved. He's a pillar. He's a staple. I feel like he deserves to get paid for them. So I don't know. I don't know if they're trying to keep him or not. I'm not sure like how he feels towards that organization, if he wants out. But once again, franchise taking him doesn't mean that they're going to keep him.
No, it doesn't necessarily mean that way. And I think this is interesting from something I think you said maybe last week or maybe it was even yesterday when we were talking about Josh Allen. When you have other guys, it was yesterday, we were talking about this conversation like, hey, could you get Hunter or could you get Burns, right? And could you kind of get the replacement for Josh Allen if something went really sour? Well, all this does is help Josh Allen again today, right? All these moves help Josh Allen. That's another guy off the board. If you remember correctly last week, I gave you odds on the next team for Brian Burns. The Jags were second on that list. They were 6-1 odds. Hunter is the same thing was asked. It was 5-4 odds. Hunter landing in Jacksonville, which is crazy to me, but those were the odds. Brian Burns was 6-1. I was like, whoa, that's like the second hottest team to get Brian Burns. Well, now you take that piece away unless there is some kind of trade or something like that, which I doubt the Jags are trading for a pass rusher that is going to cost them a bundle.
Adam Schefter reporting that Panthers placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on outside linebacker Brian Burns. Whatever that means.
Well, it's a franchise tag instead of the transition tag, which comes with a little bit different stuff.
Okay.
Is what he's basically clarifying there. So, yeah, don't you think like this is another reason why, guys, that I think and gals, that I think the Josh Allen side of it, this is what people miss. I was talking to Ty a lot about it last night. I said, I think people miss in a negotiation. Yeah, well, this is so simple. He said, everybody's like, this is so simple. Absolutely, it feels simple. I understand that. Give him the money. If it's 26, so what? Give him 27.5. But what you don't know is, did Josh Allen's people come in, opening the door with, hey, show us $30 million a year? Okay, well, if it started there, that's not what anybody's thinking, so that resets it. That starts a negotiation. They're further apart.
Sure.
The other side of it is, if I'm Josh Allen's folks, why am I in a hurry? Guys like Brian Burns getting tagged. Guys like Hunter getting a deal. The next guy like a Reddick to whatever get traded for X. Those guys are just increasing my value since I'm coming off a heck of a season. Heck, one thing that I heard could happen, I heard this a couple of months ago, I haven't seen it yet, is a restructuring of the contract of Myles Garrett, where he then would reset the market, raise the price even more. Why wouldn't you wait for that stuff? This is where I think it gets tricky. It's not necessarily just the Jags side. Now, you can criticize the Jags for not doing it earlier, or why is it taking this long? I just think it's more complex than people want to admit, because the other side of it has to dance too. And right now, even for Ridley, I just don't think the two guys the Jags are negotiating with, it's in the best interest of their representation to hurry up and sign.
I agree with you, but you could get the highest value of money if the Jaguars are that desperate to pay him and then sign Calvin Ridley. And that's the biggest thing right now. Like, I feel like Trent Baalke wants Calvin Ridley.
I do too.
All right? I take him at his word for that. So if that's the case, well, theoretically, you may not be able to keep Calvin Ridley if he goes on the market. I would probably say you don't keep Calvin Ridley if he goes on the market. I don't see him coming back to the team in a handshake saying, yeah, I help you guys out, man. I owe you guys a lot. You don't owe him anything. You've been here for a year. What does he owe us? Nothing. So I think that if you wanted to get the highest value, and if I'm Josh Allen's people, I'll be like this. Yeah, give me $30 million. No? Okay, well, here's what we're looking at. You guys want to tag Calvin Ridley. You don't want to tag us. So start overpaying a little bit, or you're going to have to tag us, and you'll probably lose it on Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
And those are conversations that if I'm Josh Allen's representation that I'm having with Trent Baalke. Because right now, like I get like the tag kind of puts the power back in the team's hands. It puts the owner, it puts the power in the GM's hands. Right now, before this tag, Josh Allen and his team have all the power because they're trying to tag Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, they know that definitely, which is in a tough spot for the Jags, I think, unless they want to overpay, which maybe they will overpay. Let's get to a couple. We have a lot of comments, so let's get to some, and it's not just all about the sack monsters. Nathan says, agree, tag Ridley, draft a receiver, help Trevor. We need Ridley back, period, says Kyle Bizzle.
Kyle Bizzle, yep. Probably from Wisconsin.
There you go.
One of those Wisconsin listeners.
Let's see. Y'all should change out of the crawler crew the text color. White and gray makes it hard to read.
Oh.
Hey, Daniel.
Taking some. Oh, Brent's not having the feedback. Okay. I was saying, okay, that's some good feedback, but nope, Brent's upset.
You gotta come work in our graphics department.
Well, Brent, if he's a customer.
I know.
If he's a customer who has a complaint.
At that.
Okay, then. Let him say his piece.
Sign Allen, draft the best center, and then wide receiver. If Jags lose their second round, 48th pick, they get their third round, 79th pick back. Is it 79? I thought, why do I stuck on 96? Maybe it is 79. I was thinking 96. But
you put the slides in here, so you tell me.
Is our slide right on that? You got that thing, Hamby? Maybe the 96 was the compensation pick.
Hamby, real quick with it. I like it. Kids Corner's not slacking today.
We'll have to double check on that 79. Why do we have 96? We've been showing the wrong graphic.
Hey, don't say we had anything to do with this.
96 plus comp. So the comp would be the exchange for 48, which would be 79, I believe.
Well, did you just do the quadratic equation and I missed it?
96 plus comp.
Brent's not paying attention.
So that's 2 picks.
No, I get it. But they're saying that the third round pick is number 79, not number 96, which I've been reading for the last month.
I think 79 is the original.
Do you want to know what? Okay, the Jaguars are picking round 3, 80th overall if the Falcons give up their second round pick. Or if they give up their second round pick to the Falcons. 80th overall. Round 3, then 96 overall is the
Okay, so 96 is the comp pick.
Yes.
Okay. So they're 80. So now it's 80, not 79. So it's 80 and 96
We got
right?
everybody in the chat saying
79?
Because he's saying it's a projection. 96 or later on the comp. Yeah. I don't understand, but we should. Yeah.
My head hurts now. Good.
No, I get it. I get what they're saying now.
I don't.
I'm caught up.
Cool.
But I guess when we made the graphic, we're assuming you lose the third pick, so that's why 79 isn't up there. I understand it.
Somebody said tag Dewey in the chat, and I want that person banned.
Somebody
for
else
life.
said Ezra Cleveland.
I want that person gone, banned, take their membership.
But thanks for the clarification. Anyway, let's see if we got a couple other comments in here. Man, they're fast and furious. I'll never trust this front office and free agency and drafting. Sorry, had to be said. Ross said it. No, I don't think it had to be said. I think that's like an overwhelming thought, right? I mean, that's kind of where it is. Delphonic does come in with other things that are just not funny, but actual information. The value of 2 franchise tags in a row for a wide receiver is $48 million. So this is interesting, right? He said, I think that's the floor for what Ridley's agent will want. $48 million.
Sure.
Knowing that, especially Mike Evans got 56. That's fine. And by the way, that's a great floor for his agent. Will he get $24 million a year? That seems a lot, man. Like Mike Evans getting 26 doesn't tell me that Ridley's going to get 24. Mike Evans getting 26 tells me that Ridley might get 21 or 22.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, the numbers get crazy, and they do have leverage. When you have leverage, you got power. Yeah. And you get power, you get more money. That's how it kind of works sometimes. We'll see. Let's see. It's an offensive-driven league. Chiefs won a Super Bowl without a spectacular defense a few years ago because their offense was truly unstoppable. You're right. And then they won the Super Bowl because their defense
was pretty dang good too as well, yes.
Mostly. So that's the point, though. You can do it both ways. Man, you guys are rocking and rolling in the chat. I'm not going to get too much more of them. But Evans got $52 million. You're right, Delphonic. Thanks. Not 56. $26 million per year. $52 million overall. Holy cow! This is like math class today here on the show. Thank goodness we're not doing these negotiations.
I'm just going to bow out with the math talk. You guys just tell me when you guys are ready to talk about something else. I can't do numbers. So
anyway, this becomes obviously the next 5 hours or so becomes real big. How quick will this start happening for the Jags? How quick will the Jags tag? Will they wait all the way till the end? Could this become the New York Giants of last year, which I do think is fascinating? That's a pretty unusual deal when you have 2 guys that could potentially tag. You could get a deal done at the 11th hour. You could then tag Ridley. I mean, that would be the day. Like, there's one way for the Jags to win the day. At 4 o'clock today, that starts to come out that they're going to extend Josh, tag Ridley. It's really the only way they can win the day.
That is correct. Yes.
They have one path to winning today.
Yep. And everybody knows it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And otherwise, you lose. Now, do you win just as much by the weekend if you're able to sign Calvin Ridley and give up a second-round pick?
Well, obviously. Yeah.
You don't think the fans are bent? I'm asking, like, you don't mind it. Maybe I don't mind it. But do you think the fans are like dummies? You could have got this done earlier and not have to give up the second-round pick.
No. I mean, I think if Calvin Ridley and Josh Allen are on the roster by week 1, no, they're not going to think anything above it.
That's the win.
Yeah, that's
as long as they're secured.
Correct.
Because that will be the next phase of it. Hey, quick thought or two before we take a break. Russell Wilson, $85 million in dead money. Like, I don't care about the money stuff. That's pretty apparent in the last couple minutes of our conversation. But that is the most in NFL history. You have to combine, I think it was Aaron Rodgers and Matt Ryan. Those 2 players, and it still doesn't come to Russell Wilson. I mean, it's one of the most epic fails by a very good organization over the years in the Denver Broncos to make this move.
Yeah, I mean, just wild. You know, I had so much hype with Russell Wilson going to Denver. I thought he was going to succeed there. I really did. He had the weapons, it seemed like, and I just felt like when Sean Payton came in, kind of clashed heads a little bit. You know, and Sean Payton didn't do himself any favors either. Like he, badmouthed Nathaniel Hackett. There was that whole thing. And then you surrender, 70-something points against the Dolphins? That wasn't a good look.
No, it was not good.
And then
they did correct it, in fairness to them.
Yeah, they did correct it and made a little bit of a run. But then, when you bench Russell Wilson because, quote-unquote, he doesn't give you the best chance to win, the writing was on the wall. You're not going to repair that relationship. So, at the end of the day, best of luck to Russell Wilson. He'll get another shot someplace else. I think he gets kind of
You think so?
I don't think he's done yet.
It's 100% that he's going to get another shot.
He's not done yet.
Some people out there think he's going to be relegated to backup duty.
He had like 24 tuds and 8 picks.
Tuds, man, I like it. Okay, here's a question: we taking Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk.
all day.
Kirk all day.
All day, huh?
But-
okay.
But look,
One
because
person won a Super Bowl, one person
I
didn't.
think you ask you take do you take Russell Wilson or like Gardner Minshew?
still
You're
taking
out of
Russell.
your mind, man. Come on. The guy won a Super Bowl, Brent. Show him a little respect.
Two
He's
Super
14
Bowls.
years in now, man.
Two Super Bowls, 9-time Pro Bowler. He was terrible under Hackett. He was good. He was a top 18 quarterback last year with Jerry Jeudy being out, with a lot of his receivers being out and it was zero consistency
You
from
get
his
married
receivers.
to numbers, man. This is the today's society. You get
All right,
married
well
to
then
numbers.
fine. Take out the numbers then.
get you paid,
Take out
man.
the numbers then.
They benched him. They
Okay,
benched him with like 7 or 8
hey,
games to go.
here's the
Not
fact-
due to his play, was it?
It wasn't. Had nothing to do
Don't
with his play.
say you benched him.
They benched him
Oh,
in part,
man.
well, of course, because of
Come
the business
on.
side. But do you think if he was playing as like a MVP level and stuff like that, that they could go like far? They would have benched him?
Okay, the Steelers win 11 games with Russell Wilson last year. The Falcons win 10 games with Russell Wilson last year. And because the Broncos are paying him $39 million this upcoming year, that means he'll pretty much play league minimum. Any team that can sign him, so he's got leverage. What NFL team? There's 9 teams that need quarterbacks. You're going to tell me all of them wouldn't at least look at Russell Wilson
I say they look.
as a one
Kids
year?
Corner's on fire right now. Kids Corner's on fire. I like
Okay,
it.
so if you're the Raiders, if you're the Steelers, if you're
You're
any
going to
of
make
these
another
teams-
mistake at quarterback if you're the Raiders.
A
Here's what you
mistake.
do. Here's
He
what you
threw
do
for
if the Raiders-
3,000 yards and 26 touchdowns and interceptions, and he got benched because he sucks, you think?
Here's what you do for the Raiders: you sign him to the league minimum, you pay him a
Why didn't
million
Trevor
or
Lawrence
two,
get benched then, I guess?
and you draft a quarterback. Then you, for a 1-year deal, you sign Russell Wilson. You let your quarterback that you just drafted, your J.J. McCarthy or Penix or whoever, sit behind him for a year. It's a
Yeah, because
no-brainer.
that happens these days.
We went over the quarterback hit rate. I mean, only the top 3 guys are going to start right away.
Hey, you know he had better numbers than Trevor Lawrence, right?
Listen, I saw the numbers.
Okay.
I think
What do
Sean
you want
Payton
from
did a
him?
good job with him. I'm not even a Russell hater. I'm just
It
telling you.
sounds a little bit
No.
like you're a hater.
I'm just asking you which team, okay?
The Giants.
The Giants make
Giants.
maybe the most sense.
Giants. Better than Daniel
Steelers.
Jones right now.
The Steelers, they're like, aren't they pot committed
Falcons?
right now to
The Falcons?
Who are the Steelers pot committed to? Kenny Pickett?
Well, they're saying they're Kenny Pickett, and they could get in on Justin Fields. You're going to do that or take Russell Wilson?
I mean,
Minnesota, you going to do Justin Fields or re-sign Kirk Cousins
that's the
or
thing
Russell
because
Wilson?
the
Justin Fields
Falcons
can go
are
to
right
every
there
single
too,
team.
so he can't play on every team. So there's 3 teams right there. Only one of them's getting Fields.
Man, Hamby
Only one of
stepping
them's getting
up.
Kirk Cousins. So one of them's got to look at Russell Wilson as a 1-year
Gotta
rental
look.
for $1 million.
Well, if you think he's so good, you're asking me for a 1-year rental for him to start as a stopgap guy to hold my rookie quarterback over.
Yeah, I'm not saying
That's
he's
how good he
incredible.
is.
I'm just
Isn't that
saying
what Kirk Cousins is?
no,
Cousins
no.
is a 2-year guy. You go win a
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
So
with.
you don't think they're going to bring in Kirk Cousins, draft a quarterback to replace him?
Well, you could do that, but you
Okay.
think if Kirk Cousins is your quarterback, you think you're investing to try to go make a run. I'm asking you if you take Russell Wilson over here, are you going to make a run or you stopgapping?
I'm trying to make a run as well. I think Russell Wilson can make a run.
I think Russell Wilson right now is Baker Mayfield, and you hope it hits.
Okay. Well,
No,
it hit. It hit for Tampa.
Well, it didn't hit for the other 3 teams he tried before.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, it can hit.
Now here comes the Baker slander.
It's not Baker. Would you rather have Baker Mayfield
I would rather have
or Russell Wilson?
I'd rather have Russell. If you put Russell Wilson on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think he does pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he does better than Baker Mayfield.
Better.
I really do.
Okay.
His weapons were terrible last
Yeah.
year. Terrible.
Cortland Sutton just can do the deep ball. Jerry Jeudy was out.
He played
And
half the games. Judy played half the games. Dolchus played half the games.
Listen, I am not a Sean Payton fan. I just think you can also say he managed him very well and did what he.
How
Like,
did he manage him when he benched him for no reason?
well, he managed him to the tune of what he did. I mean, nobody was raving about the way Russell Wilson was playing, even though he was putting up the numbers.
Do you know why? Because the team was horrible. There's nothing to rave about with the Denver Broncos for a long time. Oh, yeah, the Broncos gave up 70 points, but Russell Wilson's okay. Like, no one's going to say the Broncos are anything.
We'll see.
I think it's 100% that he's on a team very soon.
How much Sean Payton paying you?
Listen, Sean Payton.
How
I
much-
wouldn't take Sean
How much
Payton's
is
money.
Sean Payton paying you now?
I take Baalke's money before
Man.
Sean Payton's money.
Oh.
Let's take a break. We come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this. Isn't the only coaching carousel part. There's a lot of smoke now. Caleb Williams going to Chicago. I mean, the moving parts are really happening as we get a week away from the new league year in the NFL. Russell Wilson, are you signing him up to be your starting quarterback for your favorite team?
What a hater.
We'll see if someone does. Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville: FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years, and they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast charging, all new electrical SUV with high performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 in a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot, any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Investigative journalism. It's the difference between the Action News Jack style of news and everyone else's.
I'm Ben Becker. This scam is targeting residents on the South Side.
We investigate so you're crystal clear how a story impacts you.
I'm Emily Turner. Take a look at the fine print because you're still getting billed.
Because our reporters don't just tell you what happened. We break down how it affects you and your neighborhood, which is why people are putting their trust in us. Action News Jacks at 5 and 6. It's local coverage you can count on.
Swoop with the Ospreys. It's the busiest time of year on the campus of the University of North Florida. There's a lot going on at UNF, a good time to see the finish of the winter season and the start of the spring season. Check out the upgrades in facilities and check out the talent on the rosters. UNFOspreys.com for all things University of North Florida. You can get scores, schedules, news, tickets. UNFOspreys.com. And don't forget to swoop with the Ospreys.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Coming soon, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent Wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early,
Get a head start on the weekend or just take a lunch break 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
How about Jacksonville University? They get in the ASUN tournament. They're the 10th team in, almost squeezed out. And then they put on a show, 13 for 21 from downtown. They have their best offensive output of the year, playing on a neutral court at Eastern Kentucky against Kennesaw State. And they get the win last night, so an impressive win for the Dolphins. Now they got to go back-to-back nights, and they take on the number 1 seed, Eastern Kentucky. I'll tell you this ASUN, I think, is wide open. There's not a Liberty-like dominant team in the conference. Eastern Kentucky's good, but and winning on the road is really hard. UNF plays tonight at Austin Peay as well, so 92-86 win for the Dolphins. ASUN tournament is here. We will know by Sunday who's dancing from the ASUN. I really think, too, I call the games for UNF. They've been a fun team to watch. It concerns me that they struggled down the stretch of the season, especially at home. It really concerns me that they are playing on the road. It is just so hard to win right now in college basketball on the road. I don't know why we keep saying it, but it is the biggest gap of any sport right now that we have. Professionally, I think, or anything else. And I don't know if that's statistic. It definitely feels that way, that it is just hard to win on the road, even where you don't even have crazy atmospheres of 15,000 people. It's just nuts. And so both the Dolphins and the Ospreys will have to go on, at least for, it looks like, the next 2. And then if some crazy stuff happened, like the Ospreys could end up hosting the championship game or something like that. But we will see what happens over the next couple of days in ASUN play. I think March Madness is going to be wild, but what we don't know about these March Madness teams, everything's on a neutral court. And so you don't have that home court. You don't have that road. You throw out the home and away records, which have been so slanted this year, and I think that factors in as well. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, Brent and Austin Show here on a Tuesday, an important day in Jacksonville, 5 hours away from the franchise tag deadline. Jags look like they're trending toward using that on Josh Allen. There's been no announcement just yet, which means they could be working on a deal. And if they get a deal done, they could put the tag on Ridley. That would be the perfect world, the perfect win for the Jags fan base and probably for the Jaguars organization here on this Tuesday. We were talking about Russell Wilson, and we got going on that right before the break. And Hamby just said, all right, let's take these – what is it, 9 teams, Jason?
9 teams.
9 teams that are looking for quarterback. And so the list is this: Chicago, Washington, Pittsburgh, the Patriots, Las Vegas, Minnesota, Atlanta, the Broncos, and we throw the Giants in here. I think the Giants are interesting, though. They do have a guy under contract for $40 million a year. Now, Rich Eisen had reported a couple of things coming out of the Combine, and they're done with Daniel Jones. Well, I got news for you, Giants fans. You're not really done with him because he's $40 million on your books.
Yeah.
And this is just year 2 of that contract, which you're going to either have to eat something, admit fault, or you got to go with him again and see if he's going to be your guy. So I don't necessarily know if the Giants are open at the quarterback spot. Now, Russell Wilson's interesting there. Again, not as a starter necessarily, but as a backup option that could take over for a struggling Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I think they put too much stake into Daniel Jones to cut ties with him now, even though you can upgrade him. As an organization would say, hey, we screwed up. We don't know what we're doing. Fire us now, please. So I feel like they're pot committed to Daniel Jones. So I see Daniel Jones being the starter next year for the Giants.
And before we fully get ourselves engulfed in this conversation, there's a lot of smoke out there in other spots, right? Russell Wilson is the domino to fall, but Caleb Williams now, the word out of the Combine is Caleb Williams is a done deal to Chicago.
I believe that.
You do?
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a lot of discussion about this over the last month.
There's been a lot of red flags with him, don't get me wrong, but I think unequivocally he is the best quarterback in this draft class, at least the most hyped quarterback in this draft class. So, yeah, he's going to the Bears.
But I will say this. I think this is so dumb what the Bears did. No, not the fact they're getting Caleb Williams. I really question their organization because, again, we've had an upfront close look at some of the things that have gone on here in Jacksonville, and it always hasn't been good.
Okay.
So this isn't me like saying, hey, the Jags organization's better than the Chicago. No, like we have seen some of this stuff. We saw the Daniel Jones story with the Blake Bortles story. We have seen the Jaguars try to bring this GM in or this coach in and then marry him to somebody else. We just saw it, and I'm still not sold that that's the best way to go. You had Trent Baalke here. You could have reset. You could have brought another GM in with Doug Peterson. You said, no, let's have Doug Peterson in an arranged marriage with Trent Baalke. First year looked really good. Second year, are we starting to get rumblings? Like, is this going to work out? I think it's hard for that stuff to work out long term. Well, the Chicago Bears had a chance to get rid of Eberflus as the head coach. They kept him. And when they kept him and they kept Ryan Poles as the GM, they basically told me that they were actually going with Justin Fields and giving it another run. Now they're looking to reset the quarterback position, which again is a debatable thing and maybe the right move. But why didn't you bring in a new coach to come with him? If Eberflus is bad, if they don't deliver, now they're going to make a change after year one of Caleb Williams' career. They're going to bring in a new coach, a new system, new OC, new thoughts, new philosophies. Why would you set your quarterback up that way? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And what you're going to tell me is in Chicago or Ryan Poles or the organization would be like, hey, it's okay. It's going to work out. Guess what? Most of the times, it doesn't.
Listen, teams try to find their quarterbacks. They don't feel that Justin Fields is their quarterback. Did they do him a disservice? Absolutely. You told him to be a running quarterback, he got hurt. You told him to be a pocket statue quarterback, he didn't perform. You told him to be himself, he did well, then he got hurt again. They did him no service whatsoever. But at the same time, if you feel like it's a generational quarterback in Caleb Williams, the highest rated guy since like Andrew Luck and Trevor Lawrence, then you do what you have to do. I'm not saying it's right. I think Justin Fields still has a lot to show. It's just they're trying to cover their rear ends right now.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's what the game is.
Yeah, in the long term, listen, Caleb Williams over Justin Fields might be the right move. My point is, why didn't you just bring in a new regime, a new head coach, a new whatever at the same time? If that's like, it shows me that they weren't really they didn't know. That's indecisive.
Sure.
Like, that's indecisive. I can't have my billion-dollar organization and my leaders being indecisive. That's where it ends with me. It's like, let's make a decision. Let's believe in it. Let's be convicted. Let's have a plan. Let's execute the plan. Mm-hmm. To me, this didn't show a lot of that. And that would concern me from a Chicago fan situation. I just said this about, like, the Broncos right now, who are a proud organization, might, and they haven't
we
done
got
much.
Some breaking news, Brent, real quick.
Oh, we do.
Jaguars are releasing cornerback Darius Williams, a source tells Bleacher Report.
Really?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But,
no, that's big news. We were just about to get ready into this quarterback thing, but Darius Williams let's put him on hold for just like a minute.
Rappaport also just tweeted that, Darius.
Okay, that surprises me, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why in just a moment. But let's just finish this thought real quick, and we can get back to where these quarterbacks land. Hammy brought that up. Where do these 9 spots go? But I think Denver, because of what they just did with their quarterback situation, they might be going to like NFL purgatory here for a while. Yeah. Like, they already have been in it, by the way, since the Manning and Super Bowl stuff. Haven't been able to get the quarterback right for the most part. Under Elway, they didn't do it. But now when you have this kind of move, in Denver, when you have $85 million dead cap, like, you might, if you don't make the right set of moves now for the next couple of years, you might be screwed for the next 10 years.
No, for sure, but you're not worried about that. You're worried about tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to last that long. So it's about what you guys can do this up-and-coming season. Hopefully Caleb Williams can provide that for them.
Yeah, and so we will get to this. Like, we just have some breaking news here in Jacksonville about Darius Williams, but we'll get to this about where does Justin Fields end up? Kirk Cousins end up? What about Daniel Jones and the Giants? Like, where do these guys go if Caleb Williams is going number 1 to Chicago? Does Russell Wilson find a home? Like, the quarterback stuff is pretty wild right now. All right, what you got?
So Ian Rappaport is now reporting that the Jaguars are planning to release Darius Williams, source said, in a move to create cap space. He had a $10.5 million cap hit. He had 9 passes defended and 4 interceptions last year. This creates more room to franchise tag star pass rusher Josh Allen. This is what Ian Rappaport was saying.
Oh, of course it does. I mean,
but they already have that. Like, hey, Ian, chill.
Okay,
this creates more space to pay Josh Allen.
Yeah, maybe that's the case.
Yeah, I would hope.
Are you surprised at the Darius Williams move?
I mean, I'm not totally shocked, but a team that has some holes just has another hole now because now you have to address cornerback. And where do you address cornerback from? I mean, like, listen, what we just and it's crazy how this all just changes, right? We had a fun fantasy of, hey, if the Jaguars, re-sign Calvin Ridley, number 17, get another wide receiver, man, that offense is going to be loaded. Well, are you leaning more now towards a cornerback maybe at 17?
Well, listen, the Jags come out of the combine. Everybody thought corner. Everybody's been putting corner on the Jags for a while. Here's the thing that I find interesting. I know we can't pull this sound up quick enough, but we'll find it eventually, maybe today or tomorrow. I thought Darius Williams could be a cap casualty. When we did this.
We both did. I had him going,
right?
Yeah.
We both had him leaving. So two things then happened that kind of made me change my mind. One, and this was a small detail, by the way, former Creekside Knight gets hired on the coaching staff who played with Williams. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. I mean, that doesn't lock you into being a guy, right? But we kind of said the same about the old Kentucky coach that was with Josh Allen. They keep also Bill Shuey. So, there's some reasons to be like, hey, we're going to keep Josh Allen and more reasons to keep Josh Allen than Darius Williams. My view on the Darius Williams thing was, hey, you got him for 3 years, $30-something million. And you really got good play. That was a good investment. That was a good signing. You got 2 years out of him. Now you can save a little bit of money. What did they say right here? $10.5 million cap hit. Yeah. So he had a good year. He was an important part of these last couple of years. But same with Rayshawn Jenkins. You signed him to a 4-year deal. You had him for 3. There were some ups and downs, but he did a lot of good things. You say, hey, guys, we appreciate you. Hell of an investment. You guys gave us what we needed. We appreciate you. It's time to get younger and cheaper at your positions. That was my outlook on it. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Well, then freaking Trent Baalke at the Combine a week ago when asked about it was like, we're looking for a third guy.
I got it right here if you want it.
I mean, listen to what Trent Baalke said last week, which basically changed my mind on this to say, yeah, we're locked in with Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams. A week later, they cut Darius Williams. Here's Baalke a week ago today.
That's a good question. Who's going to be the third? We've got to add to that group. I think Coach Nielsen spoke on it. Coach Peterson's probably spoke on it.
Hold on, let me get it right here. I got it here.
You had two things running.
Here
you had
it is.
Delphonics, happy birthday.
Who's going to be the third? We've got to add to that group. I think Coach Nielsen spoke on it. Coach Peterson's probably spoke on it. Now I'm speaking on it. It's a group that we need to address. We feel good about the group we have. We feel like we got some good young guys to work with. We got some veterans in there, but we're definitely going to look to add to that group. I think the draft at the corner position, I think is going to be strong. I think it's a good group. I think there's going to be good players at the top end of the market and good players all the way through in the developmental range. So again, I think it's going to be a pretty good group of players in that specific position group.
So that's Trent Baalke a week ago at the Combine, and really the first 3 words of that soundbite are the most critical, where he says, yeah, who's going to be the third?
Sure.
It just surprises me.
Well, what do you want to say? That we're going to cut him?
No, but it caught my attention to the point where it was like, we feel good about the group. Who's going to be the third? That told me, I remember saying this to you during the show the next day. It's like, hey, that was one of my biggest revelations from the press conferences that, hey, they're keeping Darius Williams, it looks like.
So let me ask you this. A couple questions here. One is, what do they have to gain by cutting him right now? I mean,
they clear up space. Yeah,
it's
not just for Josh, by the way. This is ahead of the league year where they're going to spend in free agency. Like, there are going to be other moves. If Cam Robinson's going to happen, it's going to happen this week.
What I'm getting at is, do you think they try to trade him? Like, do you think that was some smoke saying, "Hey, we like him a lot," and then maybe try to trade him?
You might be right, Austin. I just don't look at him as a trade possibility.
Now, I look at him as a hell of a player who had a pretty dang good season last year, who other teams are probably going to want to go after, even though with his age is a little up there.
Yeah, I don't, for $10 million and to assume those kind of numbers, I don't think so. Now, if you tell me the same scenario about a guy like Cam at left tackle, I believe it more. I just don't know. I'm not telling you I'm right. I'm just telling you I don't see him as like a team that a guy that people are coveting to trade for, even for a 6th or a 5th or something like that. But you're not. Maybe they tried it. If you're going to release, why wouldn't you try it all the time, right? I mean, they once traded Blaine Gabbert for a 6th-round pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You might as well try it.
Yeah.
But I don't. Did they change their mind is the bigger question I have. Did they know this? See, this starts to raise questions about what I just said about the Chicago Bears. Do you have a plan? Did you just say something because you couldn't say anything else? Was this the plan all along? Did something change your plan? Like, did they look at tape a little bit more with Ryan Nielsen and his staff and say, you know what, we can do a little better here? Did the Combine show us with visits, hey, we really like a guy more here? Like, what? Did something change, or was this already always the plan? And it concerns me if something changes on a dime in less than a week.
No, it definitely should concern you if it changes. I think this was, maybe it's just wishful thinking. I think it was more part of the plan. I think when Ryan Nielsen came in here, he had a good idea of what he wanted already. Because you know how he feels about the cornerback position. Obviously, I feel like unless you can bring in, a big name free agent, which, I think Snead's not, you're not going to get Snead. That'd be fantastic, and I couldn't wait if that happened. But one would think probably then if that first round pick, or if you lose Calvin Ridley, that second round pick is going to have to be a cornerback.
Yeah, I can see them going corner. You know me, out of that combine, when people are like, the Jags are going corner, I was like, I didn't really get that.
Yeah.
They got two guys. They got another guy that actually can play the nickel spot in Antonio Johnson. They certainly want to add depth and be ready for both of these contracts that could expire next year. Like, they definitely need corner, but do they need it at 17? Now I actually think you do take that kind of tone, like maybe they do need corner at 17, or maybe they need to address it here in free agency that they like somebody else. So this is an interesting move to me. It's not surprising if you're listening to the show 3 weeks ago. I would have said, yeah, I told you. That's what I would have said. I told you they were going to cut him.
Yeah.
And then a week ago, now I'm almost surprised that they cut him. It's pretty wild. The money, they have to cut some guys, right? Who else could it be? Could it be Zay Jones? Could it be Cam Robinson? Could it be Brandon Sheriff?
Rayshawn.
These are Rayshawn Jenkins. Rayshawn Jenkins to me is gone. Like, if you want something to surprise the hell out of me, it's if Rayshawn Jenkins is back.
Okay.
Absolute stunner if he's back to me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a way for you guys, stunner. But now a corner at 17 obviously becomes in play, maybe even more so than you already thought, and already people thought about it. Could they sign somebody in free agency, a cheaper option, a Band-Aid, a stopgap, a veteran? We'll see if they're able to do that. Listen, there are plenty of corners out there. Could they make a trade for Snead now he's on the tag?
Listen, if Nielsen wants to make a big splash and upgrade that defense, Snead would get people excited, that's for sure.
What kind of – listen, Darius Williams played good football for the Jags.
Yes.
Darius Williams is not necessarily an all-pro, Pro Bowl corner. What kind of hole did they just create?
Well, you lost your number 2 corner. Simple as that.
And at times he was their number 1 guy.
Well, when Tyson Campbell went down, he was their 1 guy, and he did all right. So, you lost a very, I would say, higher-tier cornerback. And that needs to be replaced now. That needs to be addressed because I think what they have in depth isn't going to do that right now.
It is interesting to see, which we don't know, is how much they like their young guys. They had an affinity for a guy like Gregory Jr. coming out of camp. Buster Brown has played some at the corner spot. They actually do have bodies there. Now, do they have somebody that they see as developing into that next guy? I don't know. I thought Buster Brown actually took a lot more heat than he deserved at times. I think for a guy who got thrown in the mix to take over for Tyson Campbell, where there could have been this massive drop-off, I actually think he played pretty well at times. Like, you're going to make some mistakes as a young player, but I thought he made some big plays, including that New Orleans game where he actually saved the game in the corner of the end zone. So is he somebody you can buy into? I think they liked Gregory Jr. mostly in the slot, but obviously they still feel like they need more help at the corner spot. So they're not just sitting there and telling us at the Combine last week, listen, we got Gregory Jr. Like, we're all set there. They're not saying that.
Do you think, and you know this more than I do, you're in that locker room, do they lose a leader letting him go?
I don't know. I want to be careful here. I don't want to disrespect Darius Williams. He is a quiet guy.
Okay.
I mean, really quiet. He's a cool cat to me because he really just goes about his business. I'll just give you a quick little story about Williams. He would utilize in every stadium outside of the home stadium, every road game. You know, we go to every road game with the Jags, and we would set up in the what we do is always set up in the post-game visiting press area. That's where we put like our suitcase or, you know, to get ready to go on the plane after the game, all that stuff. Well, you're not really doing much in there other than kind of just chilling out and waiting to do your thing, or you go up to the press box or whatever else. But once you get everything set up, you set up. And every time we would come back and get our stuff or have to go get a microphone or whatever to go out for our Countdown to Kickoff show, Darius Williams is in that room every time. Mm-hmm. He wanted his own little space, and he would go through this routine. And I ended up like asking him, I tried not to bug any of those guys in that. They're kind of in their moment, right? But at one point, I think I asked him a little bit about what he was doing and some of just the stuff, anything like an athlete would do to get ready. But he wanted his own little space. He was always in that media room. He would carve out a little bit of a corner. Sooner or later, like Josh Allen started to do that a little bit. Even Trevor I would see in there. So I think the way he prepared, I think he was a leader by example. Okay. I think the way he performed, I think he was a leader by example. But if you're asking me if he was like this, hey, get in your face or that kind of vocal leader, I didn't see it. I don't see that. I don't think they lose that. In fact, I think he's one of the guys that we would say, do they need more of the opposite, right? Do they need more edge? The next corner they get in there, does he have a little more attitude like for that position? Because really, if you look at the Jags corners, they got Tyson Campbell, quiet guy. They got Darius Williams, quiet guy. And I'm not knocking that. There's something to be said for that.
Sure.
But at the corner position where we had the best corner that we've seen here is a Jalen Ramsey. It's got a little bit of attitude. Can you have somewhere in between? And we wonder that with this football team. Do they need a little bit more edge in some spots? And maybe they're able to get it at the next corner they find. Listen, I'll go back to what I said. Darius Williams was a good signing out of the Rams. He delivered on the contract. The Jags made a good move there on a 3-year deal. They got 2 good seasons out of him. I do think it makes sense to move on. What doesn't make sense to me is what Trent Baalke told us a week ago, and now today they're cutting him. And I also don't think from Rappaport's report that it makes a ton of sense that they need to make this move to sign the franchise tag.
That I don't agree with.
No,
like, if you're trying to free up some money to sign Josh Allen to a contract, then let's do it. But to say, well, they had to cut him so they could franchise tag Josh Allen, come on.
Yeah, I don't think they needed to do that. There were plenty like this. They make that sound like, oh man, we really didn't want to do it, but we got to get rid of him. Like that report. This is an Ian Rappaport report that says, oh man, we had to do it. We really wanted to hang on to him, but we got to do it to sign Josh. No, they didn't. I mean, they're going to make multiple more moves to create money, most likely over the next few days. That's not the move they had to make. What it shows me is they made this move. Foley Fatukasi yesterday, this one today, which means it was pretty high on the priority list to move him off the books.
So let me ask you this. Let's say a player like Rayshawn Jenkins is gone, and they announce him in the next hour or so. Is that an indication then that they're trying to get this Josh Allen contract done before the franchise tag deadline? Do you think that that's kind of going back to back here and releasing people, freeing up some cap space?
Yeah.
Like, is that a good sign that, hey, Trent Baalke's trying to do everything that he can to sign Josh Allen?
I'll come with you on it. I don't know. I think they had to make these moves over this week at some point anyway.
Well, it's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. I know they have plenty of time. So I'll come with you on and be like, yeah, maybe they're trying to create space. Maybe it is kind of a, hey, look what we're doing. We got to move these guys around to try to make this work if we feel like we're getting closer. I'll come with you on that. I'll go sunshine and rainbows on that. I got no problem doing it. Maybe they are inching closer. And they're like, hey, to actually put this thing on the books, we're going to have to do this. But I will tell you this. I actually don't think the Darius Williams move has anything to do with Josh Allen. I don't think the Rayshawn Jenkins move, when they make it, will have anything to do with Josh Allen.
Okay.
I think it's more about setting you up for free agency, clearing the books out. The league year starts next week. I mean, they got to make these moves sooner or later, whether they sign Josh Allen to a franchise tag and extension or not. But it does wiggle some room up for potentially what you're talking about with Josh, and then even maybe something we're talking about with Calvin Ridley. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we got an NFL guy in studio. Greg Coleman stops by to visit, and maybe we'll talk about the business of the NFL a little bit. Oh, he lived it for a long time and still pays very close attention. But we also have the Bob Hayes Invitational on deck here in Jacksonville next week, so we talk a little bit about the legend, the greatest to ever come out of Jacksonville, Bob Hayes. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we are part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 1.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the pro shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jacks the best in Jacks and Folio's Best of Jacks 2023. Best TV station, best TV newscast, best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, best news website and best local blog, the Burrish blog. Thank you for making Action News Jacks local coverage you can count on.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. While the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, welcome back. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane, Brent and Austin Show. Again, the big story here in Jacksonville right now. We continue to follow Josh Allen getting tagged and what could happen with Calvin Ridley, that domino effect. But the big story just happened in the last 20 minutes or so, and that's Darius Williams. He's the next cap casualty, if you will, for the Jaguars. He has been released, according to reports out of the NFL Network. Fully Fatukasi yesterday. Jaguars clearing right now about $13-14 million in space. I think they had about $24 million to work with, so that will create up to over, $36, $37 million for the Jags to play with, and I don't think they're done yet. So we'll keep an eye on some of that. Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, Jason Hamby, and say hello in that corner to Greg Coleman, friend of the show, and great to have him back with the Bob Hayes Invitational around the corner. But, man, we're talking NFL. We got busy NFL time, Greg, and what a perfect guy to do it. Former punter of the Minnesota Vikings and obviously know the game so well. We're talking the business side right now. That's the crazy side, isn't it, Greg?
It always has been. And I learned that my rookie year after getting drafted by Cincinnati and getting cut. I found out and realized that it was a business. Had to come back home to Jacksonville, taught high school history, and, that really opens your eyes. So when I got that other opportunity, I planned for every year was my last year. I interned, I worked, I got jobs, I got experience, because I knew sooner or later it was going to be over, because nobody can outrun Father Time.
Not even the great Bob Hayes.
No, sir.
And we are going to talk a lot about Bob Hayes and this track meet that's coming up and what you guys have done, and it's so much more than track and field. But you spent a lot of time in the broadcast booth, too. You got some interesting stuff going up there in Minnesota right now. Justin Jefferson deal, Kirk Cousins, Trey Lance rumors, Justin Fields could end up there. Wild times up in Minnesota.
You media types, and I'll say you media types, because I'm not in that space anymore.
Out the game.
Yeah,
but you let us go.
Everybody's got to have something to do. Everybody's got to have something to talk about. But, you really, really see how significant the business side is. And if young guys don't take care of those opportunities, they can squander generations. So I get it. Driving over this morning, I'm thinking about the draft coming up. The movie, what was the movie? Kevin Costner in the draft.
Draft Day.
Draft Day. One of my favorite movies, because there's so much realism in that, and how things happen behind the scenes, and with guys. But it is a crazy business. Things are crazy up in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. Potentially being a free agent. He will be a free agent. We just turned loose Alexander Madison, a starting running back last year. So things change so quickly in the National Football League, because if you're not winning, Bud Grant used to always tell me, he said, Greg, I can get anybody to put this purple helmet on and this purple jersey. But if we don't win football games, things change from top to bottom. And it's more realization today that everybody wants to win, and everybody wants to win right now.
Greg,
find that formula.
Absolutely, and obviously big conversations now is paying Josh Allen here and all these edge rushers asking for their money. You were a punter, and you were a punter for a very long time with the Vikings organization. When you talk about the punter, there's not fans in the streets clamoring, you got to pay this guy this amount of money for punting, but that's still a position that's very of increased importance. So when we talk about working your free agent deals or working your new contracts, were you the guy that was hey, this guy's making this much, so I need to make more than him? How do you compare? Is it stats?
Stats are part of it. Stats are part of it, but you've got to be the right personality, the right kind of guy in the locker room, because they can find anybody to kick the ball. But if you fit that organization, when I went to Minnesota, Bud told me, don't worry about leading the league. You're not going to do that. As long as you can kick the balls to the corner, that's all I care about. And if I ever wanted to tick him off or tick anybody else on my team off, kick a ball down the middle. So I think it's a personality fit. you got to have that right. People talk about chemistry. It's about teamwork. Forgetting about all of the things that you bring to the table. It's a group of men from different cultures, different communities, different backgrounds, and all of that stuff. But you leave all of that at the door, because when you come in, you've got one goal, and that's to win. And if you don't win, you're not going to be there. I mean, we've seen it. You've seen it too. Hell, before the guy goes out the back, they're unstitching the name of that jersey off and stitching somebody else's name on. That's just how big this game of the National Football League is.
We're visiting with Greg Coleman, who's just a great story of his own out of Raines High School here in Jacksonville. FAMU and a draft pick in the 14th round, by the way, when they had double.
That's right, baby.
That draft weekend was a long weekend.
God.
We have the Cleveland Browns, who really spent a lot of time in Minnesota and then had a very long broadcast career with the Minnesota Vikings as well, and in the Black College Hall of Fame as well, as we got to see your name up there in Canton, Ohio a couple of years ago,
That's
which
right.
is pretty neat.
Hey,
What a resume.
But let me tell you something. Was inducted in the Florida State Sports Hall of Fame this year.
This past year, I was there for that event.
It was amazing. I mean, I think I'm in 7 Hall of Fames, but that one meant black college football, awesome. But the state of Florida, you know how many great athletes come from the state of Florida, and somebody thought good of the body of work that you put out there that nominated you to become a part of this illustrious fraternity of men and women. And I'm so grateful and so proud to be one of those Hall of Fame.
That was a heck of a night. By the way, Vince Carter was in that induction ceremony along with Leroy Butler.
Tom
Coughlin. I mean, and a couple other names are escaping me right now, but you get the idea, and you're right on the money. And you know what? A lot of the folks said the same exact thing you said. To represent the state of Florida in the Hall of Fame says a lot.
It does.
It really says a lot. One more NFL question for you, if you don't mind. The business of it. I know, and again, not to diminish your position, but obviously you weren't talking about $100 million contracts from a punter standpoint. How do these contract negotiations work? Has that changed over the years, in your opinion? Whether you're talking about a deal that can get done, or a deal like Josh Allen or a Calvin Ridley here in Jacksonville that has a lot of moving parts.
You got to remember, I came in when the game of football was shifting from a sport to a business. Mm-hmm. So there were minimums that we had, went through 3 work stoppages, strikes, and all of those things. In each year, we elevated salaries. So we knew that punters made X amount of dollars. Okay, we had a league minimum, $80,000. Anything that you get above that was bonus. And after a while, I started negotiating my own contracts because we had league minimums per position.
Yeah, parameters.
So it was easier then. Now it's it's out there, and I don't begrudge any punter or kicker making millions of dollars. I think the league minimum for a punter is a vested punter is like $3-4 million. Mm-hmm. And you love it. So it's mind-boggling to see some of the contracts, especially with the quarterbacks. And now for years and years, it was the running backs that demanded the big salaries. Then it was the wide receivers. Now it's the edge rushers. Now running backs are being diminished to a point of, well, we really don't need them because it's a passing league. So now you're back to the QBs and the wide receivers and secondary, because you got to find somebody to stop those guys. So it's just an amazing. I'm so blessed to be in this generation, to see it elevate from the way it was many, many years ago, and how the draft is now. It's a full-blown promotion. It's a production.
Everything is.
When a guy goes on the field, he is videoed and filmed in everything that he does from beginning to end. All of the monitoring of hearts and speed and hydration. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. It's an amazing business.
And Greg, I mean, you're a guy obviously who spent a lot of time playing, but also on the sidelines too. So you've had the unique experience of seeing the locker room when you were there, and then the locker room of the modern day NFL athlete.
It's different.
And that was my question to you.
Different.
What is your take,
good or bad,
of the and great? I think some good things come from it, right? I mean, player safety is a big thing, right? Some things great have come from it, but in your eyes, what's the biggest thing that you want to see changed in terms of the modern NFL athlete, in terms of personality or demeanor, whatever the case may be? What would you like to see change?
Well, obviously, it's going to be impossible.
Correct.
Because of social media. And I think that has been the biggest shift in our culture, both on and off the field. SportsCenter was another. The top 10, guys wanted to be on SportsCenter, making the splash plays instead of the basic fundamentals, doing the things that's best for the team instead of what's best for me. Because if I can make the splash plays, I'm going to get on SportsCenter. College kids now, with the money that we're talking about, that's another whole conversation. I don't even want to go down that path right now. But just if there was anything that I would like to see shift, would be that it's not about me. It's about us.
Yeah.
Because I don't care how great an athlete you are, wherever your stats are, you still need those other men. People talk about punters and kickers. Man, you guys on the low end of the totem pole until fourth down.
That's right.
Then we become the most important person on that team. And that's out of respect for every position. So when you talk about team, it's not about me. It's about us. And it's us who wins championships. It's not me who wins championships.
Greg Coleman visiting with us, and good talking to NFL, but let's talk about why we have him here, and that is the Bob Hayes Invitational coming up next week. And I've been in Jacksonville since 2008, Greg, and I've learned this by now, and I know this by now. Bob Hayes, doesn't matter if we bring up Derrick Henry conversation or a Tim Tebow conversation, you always start it with a Bob Hayes conversation when you're talking about the greatest athlete out of Jacksonville to win a gold medal, to change the game in the NFL the way he did because of his speed. You obviously know much more about this. Are we correct on saying that still? Will we always say that in Jacksonville?
Absolutely.
That Bob Hayes is the greatest?
Bob Hayes is the only man that God blew breath in to win an Olympic gold medal and a Super Bowl ring. And he just happened to be here from Jacksonville, the east side. There were a group of founders who wanted to honor him. And they began 60 years ago organizing the Bob Hayes organization. And do you know the Bob Hayes track meet, the organization, has been in existence longer than the Super Bowl? I mean, so you talk about the legacy, the men and women who have come through this fraternity of track and field. The list goes on and on and on. And I was in the office the other day, and I looked at the men who had participated in the Bob Hayes track meet and went on to play in the NFL. That list is well over 200.
Crazy.
And that's just the ones that we know.
Yeah.
This
Might have missed some in there, yeah.
Oh, without question. It's, and I always say that the Bob Hayes is more than a track meet. It's an experience.
You guys moved to UNF?
Yes.
Last year.
Last year was our first year.
And I know
at
there
UNF.
was a little bit of hesitation with a lot of folks in the community about that because it had long been there at Raines High School. How is that now? How was the first experience? We know it's a world-class track, so you're getting the best of the best when you come to the Bob Hayes Invitational track meet. But how has, now that everyone's seen it, how did it go? And how is some of the perception? Has it changed a bit?
Well, first and foremost, my primary focus was the words of Bob Hayes and Coach Day. Greg, whatever happens, keep the focus on the kids. And that was first and foremost. Was it difficult for me to make that decision to move from Raines? Absolutely. But Coach Day had been having conversations with UNF, knowing that Raines, Ribault were slated to be closed. He did not want to get caught without not having a place to hold the Bob Hayes. Mm-hmm. It was so interesting when I began to have that conversation with UNF, Raines, who's still our partner, and everybody was in agreement. Greg, this is the best thing for the kids. It was about community, but it wasn't about community. It was about the kids. It was about the kids then, and it's still about the kids now. When I had the opportunity to see what was possible, going to other cities, going to other stadiums, running track, when these kids get that opportunity to run on what you call a world-class facility, which it is, And the state track meet is even held there.
NCAA
regionals, I was there a couple years ago.
It's one of the best in the country. And if you get a chance to see what's possible, possibilities fueled my fire. Possibilities gave me hope. Possibilities gave me vision. And if you get the possibility of what's possible, the sky's the limit.
It's pretty cool to see. Again, this is one of the best track meets in the country at this level. And tell us what kind of talent you have coming in once again this year. I mean, do you know? I mean, do you already have your eyes on some of these races that could be unbelievable?
Well, it's early in the track season for high school here, especially in North Florida. But we've got some of the kids from South Florida, even some here. Range has got some talent as well. We'll have some of the fastest kids in the state of, not only in the state of Florida, in the nation that's coming in.
You're one of the fastest kids in the state of Florida. I got a feeling you're one of the fastest kids in the country.
Absolutely. So we literally just closed the registration last night, so we can slot all the kids, seat all the kids, and let those coaches know that, you got to prepare and get your kids here and all of the logistics that go with it. But here's something else Brent, that we did this year. There's a collegiate meet on Friday. It's called Run for the Culture. It's about 17, 18, close to 20 colleges. They're coming in, and they're going to run on Friday morning. We're taking the finals of their sprints, the 1, the 2, 4x1, and 4x4, merging those into our finals on Saturday afternoon. Number one, it gives the kids what it's like to compete at the next level, what it takes. Then it's going to keep some college coaches here as well. So our kids going to get scouted a heck of a lot more. And I guarantee you, some of them are going to walk away here with a college scholarship that's going to change their families for generations. Those are the things that I look at. People look at the time, which is all good. But I look at something just a little bit more. The James Day Scholarship. We'll be presenting 6 or 7 kids with scholarships. Man, I know my mom didn't have money to send me to college. It was because of scholarships. So we'll continue to grow our scholarship fund. We'll continue to support. But here's the other thing that I like. There's a session that's called Huddle with the Legends. Yeah. Olympic legends, NFL greats. They come and we do a round robin and talk about lessons learned, what it takes to be a success. And last year, even at our middle school, we had 1,500 middle schoolers that came and was a part of that. And they were sucking up what Edwin Moses was talking about, sucking up what Ralph Boston was talking about, sucking up what Terry LeCount was talking about. This year, we're going to have that again. But we've got 4 gold medal Olympians that's being inducted into the Bob Hayes Hall of Fame on Thursday the 14th at the gala. 2 of those are currently trying to compete and qualify for the Olympics in Paris this year. So, I mean,
right in front of you.
Right here.
That's everything.
It is.
Especially with kids these days, you have YouTube and everything where you can go and you can look up how to do certain things, but to see somebody in the flesh, to shake your hand or look you in the eye and kind of share their experience, that's everything, man.
It really is.
And that's fantastic to hear.
And they're chasing this.
And that's the thing they're chasing.
Look at that.
They're chasing the gold medal.
That is, by the way, 1964 gold medal from Tokyo. Bob Hayes gold medal.
That's right.
That's unbelievable. You brought it in. It was unexpected.
Well, his daughter Westine is on our board, and I asked.
I don't feel like I should be touching it.
Well, you shouldn't. So give it back.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, hey, hand it over here.
I'm not giving it back.
Say I touched it one time, please. You've been hogging it over there, man.
We are going to have to take a picture with this. That's really cool.
Absolutely. But we're going to honor all of those people who are part of that 60-year history with Bob Hayes, the coach, all of the founders. Their kids are a part of. We're going to honor them and volunteers and timers and judges and well-wishers and everybody, man, because that's what community is about. We're inviting all of those people to come back, be a part of the gala, being part of the Run for the Culture, being part of a 3-day celebration of Bob Hayes track meet.
This you guys have a fantastic website. Done a great job. All the organizers and everybody a part of it. And it's BHITM. So Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet.
22, because that was his number, .org.
BHITM22.org. You can simply Google Bob Hayes Invitational. It will come up. Done a great job with the site, and you can see the schedule of events, how you can get tickets, how you can be a part of it, the gala tickets as well. Is there anything that people can still be a part of that you're looking for?
Absolutely.
They can
donate. They can donate to part of the scholarship fund because, again, as I talked about, changing generations forever, families with education, man, I still think that's the cornerstone. Yeah, being in the right place at the right time, who you know, and all of those. But when preparation meets opportunity, it's going to equal success. So we want to give these kids opportunity, and that's what another part of what I really, really love about the Bob Hayes.
Let me leave you with this. Bob Hayes passed away a little over 20 years ago now. I think
No, it wasn't that long. I think it was 2008.
2008, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was, okay. Well, 15 years ago, right?
Yeah.
About the time I got here.
Yeah.
How proud of this event? What you're doing, what everybody's doing, the gala, the scholarships, the reaching out and touching these folks that have impacted so many people. What you guys are continuing to build on his legacy.
Well, I think we all are doing it, Brent. You know, this is a community event. Our partnership with the city, we couldn't do it without them. Pepsi has been one of our longtime partners. There's so many great companies and organizations here in this city that have come alongside of us and say, okay, what can we do? How can we be a part? And even John Q. Public, there's a sweet lady who writes a check for $25 every year, and she's been doing it for the last umpteen years, and she means more to this organization than those who write the checks with 00000, because her heart is in the right place, and we have so many people like that, a part of this community who care about young people. And we're going to continue to do it. So when the baton was passed to us, we're going to do whatever we can do to take it to the next level. And then we're going to lay the groundwork to have a sustainable organization. And when we pass the baton, those young people are going to take it to the next level. So we're looking at another 60 years.
That's awesome. Good stuff. Tremendous talent. If you want to see some of the best, not only in the state of Florida, in the country, a lot of great talent around here in track and field, which, there are just some things even in our business we don't cover enough of, and that is one. We have some tremendous track and field talent right here in the city of Jacksonville in Northeast Florida.
Absolutely.
And you get a chance to see it on display. So check out the Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet. Again, you can go to the website as well. It is next week, 14th, 15th, 16th, starting with the gala, and then going to the middle school meet, and then obviously the big high school track meet as well, right at UNF. So plenty of places to park and see it.
Field, food trucks and all of that stuff. We even got a mini Bob Hayes museum, so we'll have some additional artifacts of his. We'll have people there sharing stories about Bob. One of our Hall of Famers, Al Denson, competed against Bob in high school. Bob went to Gilbert. Al Denson went to Stanton. So, we're going to hear some of those stories.
That's
cool. It just goes on and on and on. This event the tentacles touch so many different areas of our community. So we're just so proud to be a part, and we're just holding up our end. And man, really appreciate your time.
Well, congrats to obviously the late Coach Day, and obviously you, Greg Coleman, and everybody else. I know there's a lot of folks that are involved to keep the great Bob Hayes legacy alive. I think that's important for the younger generation to know that. Came from the city of Jacksonville, be proud of that, see and be able to reach and touch a gold medal like this for a guy who's the only one to do what has been done.
Absolutely. And when those kids get on that podium and we put that gold medallion around their neck and tell them that they will be a Bob Hayes champion forever, that means so much.
All right. Well, good luck with the event. We'll be out there covering it as well, and then you can get back to your golf game. Hope that's in good shape.
Yeah, boy, we don't want to talk about that right now. I need some strokes, so I'm begging, brother. I need some strokes.
You're not the only one, man. That is Greg Coleman. He's awesome. And again, the Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet next week right here at the University of North Florida. We come back. We got an hour to go, and we go back to the NFL. And if you haven't caught it yet, Darius Williams, released by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We got some more info coming in, so stay tuned here.
All right, some more news coming in for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's next, right here on the Brent Austen Show. And don't forget to check us out on the brand new network, Action Sports Jacks, 24/7 on the Action News Jacks app. And also you can check us out at actionnewsjacks.com. Go where all the pros go. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute takes care of athletes at the highest level, like the Jacksonville Jaguars players. They will take care of you, too. Our team covers a lot of teams here in Jacksonville. FSCJ, JU, the Axemen, the Jumbo Shrimp, the Sharks, and, of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars. JOI covers all those teams as well. And then there's youth sports. My kids play baseball and softball. And whenever we have an injury question, the first call is to JOI. Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute has been serving Jacksonville for 30 years, and they have over 30 specially trained physicians and assistants at 5 locations in the area. If your injury is specific to an area of the body, JOI has a specialist. They also are leaders in robotic surgery, joint replacement, and sports medicine. JOI Rehab has 13 locations and 90 therapists to get you better. Comprehensive care with caring physicians and staff at JOI. From youth sports to high school, college, and the pros, Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. JOI. Go where all the pros go.
Stop by the new car sales event happening right now at Greenway Kia at the Avenues. $500 in a job gets you in a Kia. And Michael Montiero and the staff here at Greenway Kia are here to make it happen. Experience great customer service and become a part of their family. And while you're here, check out the Kia Forte GT line, full of comfort, innovation, and has driver assist technology. And how about the affordable new Kia EV9, the fast charging, all new electrical SUV with high performance capability, 3-row seats with 304 miles of maximum driving range. Over 1,000 new Kia models, some starting at $199 a month. And as always, get the 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Come shop at Greenway Kia at the Avenues, located on Phillips Highway. You can shop online at greenwaykiaattheavenues.com. And remember, $500 in a job gets you in a Kia at Greenway Kia at the Avenues.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Investigative journalism. It's the difference between the Action News Jack style of news and everyone else's.
I'm Ben Becker. This scam is targeting residents on the South Side.
We investigate so you're crystal clear how a story impacts you.
I'm Emily Turner. Take a look at the fine print because you're still getting billed.
Because our reporters don't just tell you what happened, we break down how it affects you and your neighborhood, which is why people are putting their trust in us. Action News Jacks at 5 and 6. It's local coverage you can count on.
Swoop with the Ospreys. It's the busiest time of year on the campus of the University of North Florida. There's a lot going on at UNF, a good time to see the finish of the winter season and the start of the spring season. Check out the upgrades in facilities and check out the talent on the rosters. UNFOspreys.com for all things University of North Florida. You can get scores, schedules, news, tickets. UNFOspreys.com. And don't forget to swoop with the Ospreys.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jacks, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jacks is always on. Coming soon, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jacks 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jacks 24/7.
Perfect Rack Billiards has a deal for you. 50-cent wing Fridays during lunch. Get out of work early, Get a head start on the weekend, or just take a lunch break, 11:30 until 3 p.m. on Fridays. Every Friday, Perfect Rack Billiards with 50-cent wings for lunch on Fridays. A perfect place to stop in Murray Hill, play some pool, play some darts, maybe some shuffleboard. Now, that's a heck of a lunch break. And get those 50-cent wings on Friday just to make it better. 11:30 to 3 p.m. on Fridays at Perfect Rack Billiards.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
It was great to hang out with Greg Coleman. Bob Hayes Invitational around the corner. We got busy next week, right, with the Players' Championship, too. We got a busy day today with obviously a bunch of Jaguars news and waiting and seeing. And who are they going to get next? That certainly is part of the equation. And who are they going to lose next? Well, Rayshawn Jenkins is on that list. I'm assuming that's the news Austen Lane had ready to go. And that is the news I just saw as we were talking to Greg Coleman, that now Rayshawn Jenkins, Darius Williams, they lose two big members of that secondary to the cap casualty list.
Hey, couldn't fire Fadakasi today? Couldn't just, give him an extra day? Okay.
So, again, no surprise here on Rayshawn Jenkins, right?
No surprise here. Obviously, it's another starter, though, right? I mean, I think when we did our exercises, I think we both had Rayshawn Jenkins leaving.
Yeah.
So, not necessarily a surprise, but still another. I mean, do you think they replace him then with what they have?
Well, to me, it's interesting. Are they going to put Antonio Johnson at safety? I think that's where they're going to go. See, this is what I love. This is actually what good organizations do. And don't get caught up in me calling the Jags a good organization yet. They need more evidence. But you go, these two, to me, indicate fantastic moves. You go in free agency and you get Darius Williams and you get Rayshawn Jenkins. They deliver. Those are good signings.
Yeah.
They deliver. You move on from them and you replace them. In this case, Antonio Johnson. Now, we'll see what happens at the corner spot. But Antonio Johnson, to me, Austin, looks like a player. Looks like you might have replaced Rayshawn Jenkins with actually a better player, a younger player, a cheaper player that you got in the 5th round. That's how you get good in the NFL, by making a find like that, in my opinion.
Once again, and I agree with you, I think, Rayshawn, I think when he first got here, he was kind of like one of the leaders. Like one of the dogs, if you will. But I think, he is replaceable with a lot cheaper options. So you're not going to miss too much there. Another cap casualty cut, though, before the franchise tag. Are they trying to get this Josh Allen deal done?
Yeah, it certainly feels that they could be.
Brent's starting to sweat a little bit. Let's make sure we have all the receipts.
This is not a sweat.
Oh, you're not sweating?
Yeah.
Oh, you're not sweating?
No.
Okay.
Why didn't I get any credit, by the way? I basically told you that Jenkins' move was coming any minute, and it came, like within a half hour.
Yeah.
So how about that? All right, so there's a lot here. Why all the moves today is a good point.
Yep.
Right? Is it just part of the calendar? Here's what I don't understand, Austin, and I get what it looks like, but I don't understand. Like, you're not going to – the league year doesn't start till next week. So let's just say they – came up with a $105 million deal with Josh Allen today. Well, if you did that, you could still cut Jenkins and Williams tomorrow, and the books don't get counted until next week. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I don't see why you have to do these moves to make this move possible.
Let me ask you, though, this. Okay, another name that's been thrown around a little bit, I think we both might have agreed on this, is Zay Jones. If Zay Jones, before the franchise tag deadline, gets let go, are we safe to assume then that a deal has been done and then Ridley's got to be in the works?
That's a good. Now that one I think is way more indicative.
Okay.
Of something else. Like, I really don't get the sense that these moves are indicative of, yes, a deal might be done with Josh, right? But I do think your Zay. No, I'm not telling you can't. I'm just saying I think your Zay Jones one though really would. If you're willing to let Zay Jones walk while you're not getting a deal with Calvin Ridley, I question your sanity.
Yeah, unless they know something that we don't. Yes.
I think that part is interesting. Let's stay on this for a moment, because I actually think, to go back an hour ago, we told you about Darius Williams. Like, that's when the report came out. Darius Williams, we played you a soundbite from Trent Baalke. It was very interesting because I thought Darius Williams and Rayshon Jenkins would be cap casualties. I really did. And then Baalke last week at the Combine, a week ago, like right now, basically got in front of a microphone and said, hey, we need a third guy. We need a third guy at the corner spot. Well, that indicated that they were looking for a slot corner. Indicated they were going to move Antonio Johnson basically to safety, and it indicated to me they were going to keep Darius Williams, who they also hired like one of his high school teammates on their coaching staff. And obviously we know they're going to keep Tyson Campbell. So this one threw me a little bit for a loop that a week later they're saying, okay, Darius is gone. But if you asked me 8 days ago, I would have been, yeah, this is pretty obvious. So that part's interesting to me. Darius Williams, heck of a job. Jags got a lot of good play out of the local product, and hats off to him. Nice job coming in here on a big contract and delivering. Rayshon Jenkins, to me, is more fascinating. I don't think we can just talk about Rayshon Jenkins being released, man. Rayshon Jenkins, to me, will go down as one of the names you know in the history of the Jags organization. Rayshon Jenkins last season, I'm not talking 23, I'm talking 22. He made one of the biggest plays in franchise history. He also made a bunch more. The Dallas Cowboys pick 6 on a day where he had 18 tackles in that game and also had, I think it might have been 2 interceptions, but the pick 6 interception. He has the play in the Tennessee game that puts the Jaguars in the playoffs. He's a lot of the spirit of the Jags, the leadership of the Jags, the dogs, the edge, that stuff that we're talking about. He has it. And then bookending that kind of year was a guy that looked totally lost and out of place under Urban Meyer and looked like it was going to be a complete bust. Got hurt, got ejected from a game, I think, or maybe it was a big personal foul. I thought he maybe got ejected from it. Really didn't play well. Mm-hmm. But it was like, okay, well, he gets a pass because the Urban disaster had different effects on other people. This past year, he was really good at times, but then I thought late in the season, when they couldn't stop anybody, I was kind of like, what the heck? Where's Rayshon Jenkins? Love this guy. Where is he? So he's an interesting dynamic in Jacksonville. Up and down play. But I will never forget what he did in 2022, and I don't think neither will this Jaguars fan base.
No, you shouldn't. You know, and he was the guy when they brought him in from, was it San Diego or was it LA at the time? I mean, the Chargers, whatever the case.
I think it was LA at the time.
LA, yeah. When they brought him in, you know, the guy played with the chip on his shoulder, and I was excited for that, for the Jaguars defense to get that. And then, you know, as time went on, it seemed like, okay, you know, every once in a while he would pop up, but like nothing necessarily consistent. And then you're talking about those big plays that he had, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's why we brought him in. That's why he's making what he's making. And then, you know, we know what they say, you're only as good as your last play, your last season. And this past year, a lot of underachieving from Rayshon Jenkins. And it's not just him, right? The entire defense towards the end kind of collapsed a little bit. But as a guy who was brought in, I feel like, to be that dog, to be a leader in the secondary, you didn't see that towards the end of the year. So
it was weird, actually.
It was kind of weird how, you know, I'm recall of some of the highlight plays and the running around and shouting as you should, and then I'm recall of some of the things where it's like, man, you're out of position, bad angles, Derrick Henry's running all over, you know, it's just things like that. So overall, there was some up, some down, but a lot of big plays to be had from Rayshon Jenkins.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not going to over-dramatize this, all right? Rayshon Jenkins is not like Calais Campbell in his 3 years.
No.
Calais Campbell's impact, Calais Campbell's consistency, Calais Campbell, just about everything. But I also think we just can't dismiss and say, see you later to Rayshon Jenkins, because don't forget 22 now. This is an organization that if you've been here like I've been here in the last 16 years, and this is a transient place in Jacksonville, if you're a younger person that's in high school that loves the Jags, or even college that loves the Jags, if you're Jason Hamby's age and you love the Jaguars, you have 2 years. You have 2017 and you have 2022. And Rayshon Jenkins was freaking awesome during that run in 22. I mean, he was awesome for this football team. Some of the most memorable plays we already indicate, but I just don't want to let that go. I think that's worth celebrating. Those are important things for this franchise with younger people who are their fans, for this franchise with people that have covered this team and had nothing and have supported this team and have had nothing. Rayshon Jenkins was massive in those conversations. So I just didn't want to I think it's easy to say, okay, cap casualty, we knew it was coming by. See you later. What's next? Are they going to sign Josh Allen? I don't want to do that with this situation because, I mean, the bottom line is we actually are talking about two guys that made one of the biggest plays in franchise history. Rayshon Jenkins made the sack, forced the fumble, and Josh Allen, who they're trying to scoop up and score today with a contract, did the same against Tennessee. Don't forget that game was about 3 minutes to go, and the Jaguars were about to have one of the biggest upsets we've ever seen with Josh Dobbs quarterbacking on the road to knock the Jaguars out of the playoffs.
For sure.
It was a massive play that we thought at the time changed actually the direction of the organization until the latest collapse and latest loss to Tennessee here in 23.
Right now, Darius Williams listening to our show wondering, like, hey, where's my tribute that Brent just gave?
We kind of gave him some tribute.
20 minutes? Oh, okay. All right.
Who's the bigger loss?
Right now?
Yeah.
Darius Williams.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with that part.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's even a debate. And part of that is because of what I said at the outset of this, is that they have Antonio Johnson, who you feel pretty good about. Now, I don't want to crown Antonio Johnson, but you do feel good about him taking over that spot. Just from a football standpoint, does it make sense that he plays safety more than nickel corner because they had him floating between both?
Yeah, I think Antonio Johnson, size, stature, put him at safety.
All right. And I think we're getting some comments. No doubt, Williams definitely the bigger loss. Somebody just says something kind of joking around, like I think tongue in cheek about Ryan Nielsen just cutting players. And how much do you think this is Nielsen? Because I actually think if Mike Caldwell was still the defensive coordinator, I think some of these moves already that we've seen today are happening anyway.
Yeah, I think it's just a formality at this point.
I actually think this is less Nielsen related. Now, maybe the Darius Williams one is a little more keyed on Nielsen because of all the conversation at corner and what style you want to play and those things. But I get the sense that it didn't matter if I was the defensive coordinator. You're still probably making these moves to clear space. And there's now $35+ million in cap space for the Jags to play with. And listen, if you do cut a guy like a Brandon Sheriff or maybe as a Zay Jones still as a casualty here, there's more dollars to open up. And I'm not ruling out. Here's one other thing about what just transpired. Should we be off the Cam Robinson's definitely coming back train? Because Trent Baalke just told me last week that he thought he only needed one corner, and then they cut Darius Williams, now they need two.
I know. Listen, though, if you have a lot of cap space freeing up right now, right? There's probably some more coming on the pipe. We'll see who that is. But if you cut Cam Robinson right now, then there's got to be something else afoot here, Brent.
Why?
Why would you – how much money are you trying to free up? Like, you're going to cut all these guys before the franchise tag, and I'm not going to say it? Like, come on.
Well, I'm not saying it happens today. I'm just
telling
you,
no. I mean, okay.
No, I'm just telling you before the league year. Cam coming out of the combine, if you look at some of the headlines that people interpreted what was said, it's like Cam's back.
Okay.
Right? He's under contract. Cam's back. Cam's coming back. Well, Cam actually, of all the players on the roster, makes the most sense from a cap-saving standpoint. I think they owe him $21, and I think his dead million's $5. They can clear $16 million. And by the way, they also have a left tackle that can play, either Walker Little or you can move Anton Harrison over. They already have the replacement.
Now we're moving Harrison over?
Well, I'm just saying you have options there.
Are they as good as Cam Robinson at left tackle right now, if he's healthy?
Well,
I mean, you could make an argument that it's not $16 million worth of a difference.
Okay, let me ask you this. Would you rather lose Cam Robinson, Darius Williams, or Rayshon Jenkins? Like, out of those, who would you least want to lose?
Cam.
I would say Cam.
Yeah.
But that doesn't – I'll ask you a better one. Who would you rather lose right now? And I ask this not as the player, but also the replacement.
Okay.
Brandon Sheriff or Cam Robinson?
If you let go of Brandon Sheriff with what you're going to get in the hit, there's a plan in place. So to answer your question, like
maybe Hunt or something.
Yeah. I mean, like, so to answer, Cam Robinson, obviously. But once again, if you lose Brandon Sheriff, there's a plan in place. There has to be. I mean, you need interior offensive linemen. You're going to cut one for nothing, and now what? Come on.
Well, yeah, I get it. Well, that's my point. It's like I don't know what the plan B is. There's no guarantee. Cooper Hodges, I mean, do you have that much faith in him? I know they like him, but I just think Cam Robinson actually from a cap standpoint, for a creating room standpoint, from a guy who's actually played only half the time the last 2 years standpoint, makes some sense more than maybe another move would make some sense at this moment.
Okay.
If you're trying to clear space, even more of it to get these deals done. And by the way, if the perfect scenario does come into play, where the Jags do extend right now Josh Allen,
oh man,
and get Calvin Ridley, well then if that were to happen, then they do need space, man. I mean, like, I don't know how much they need actually right away for Josh Allen, because we've talked about it. You can pay a lot of money up front and then push it off. But Ridley, you would probably need some decent dollars available to tag him at $21 million. Although you probably earmark that, now that I'm talking out loud, to the $24 million that Josh would get, so it's about the same.
True, yeah.
You know, so the money, I mean, again, the money, you can make it do whatever you want. What's next? Who's the next domino? They're not done cutting people, are they?
No, I can see another domino getting cut. Man, it all depends what the thing is. Like, once again, I can see Zay Jones getting let go if they keep Calvin Ridley. You know, like, I don't. Here's what I'm going to say. If Zay Jones is a cap casualty and they let him go, and it's before the franchise tag, then Josh Allen's getting a deal ASAP. So get ready to refresh that on your Twitter pages, everybody. And then I'm going to celebrate and gloat like you've never seen before on a radio show or on a sports show. I can see Sheriff, but once again, if it's going to be Brandon Sheriff, there's got to be something else. The Jaguars are signing whoever. And Cam Robinson, could it be that? It could be. If I was going to place my money on something, I would probably say the next guy going to be gone might be Sheriff.
Yeah, and again, the interesting thing about Sheriff, if my dollars are right from the last time I looked at this, it's like a $20 to $21 million off the books, but the dead money's 15, so you're saving only like $5 or $6 million. So it's not as much as it feels. And then again, what are you replacing it with? Is the important part. I don't think Sheriff played that poorly last year either. He played better than he did in year one. The question I have for Sheriff, can you restructure or something? Is he really worth what you're paying him? And secondly, does he have enough left in the tank? Like, that's what I would ask. But with an interior that's already struggled, and for an offensive line that might look a little bit different, does it make sense to change up Sheriff as well? I can make the case for it, but I also think you could say, well, not really. A lot of people think Jeff Okudah is going to be a guy that the Jags target. This is a connection to Atlanta and Nielsen, of course.
Jeff Okudah.
We do a whole? You did a whole song on him.
I wrote a whole song about him going to Detroit. And if he comes here,
we're running it back.
We're going to run it back. We're going to get Hart in studio singing, "Ooh, Jeff Okudah."
I've got to get.
I mean, it's going to print itself. Now watch the media team take that from Jacksonville and steal my idea. That's fine.
We
whatever.
move.
Got him.
Got him. If we get Okudah here, then we bring in the band, Hamby. All right. Oh, yeah. We need the family band.
No problem.
Yeah.
Done deal.
We blow that whole thing up.
Also, Sheriff would be about a $6 million savings. He's due.
Is that what it is?
He's due $14.9. The dead cap is 9.1. So.
See, is it worth it, Brent? Unless you have a plan, right? Like, if Sheriff gets let go. And once again, you got to maybe free some money to sign Josh Allen at the last second, you know, in the 11th hour. Cool. But if Sheriff gets let go, there's a plan in place. And when I say plan in place, I mean a free agent coming in, not just a draft. You don't mean like
Cooper Hodges.
Yeah.
Again, the story, just to back this up, and I know people are kind of like out of sight, out of mind. Cooper Hodges, a kid from Baker County. Mm-hmm. He was, I think it was 7th-round pick last year of the Jags. Well, he got hurt in the Detroit preseason game, I want to say, so they third one in. They really liked him. Now, I'm not saying they liked him to the point that he was going to start and you were going to get Sheriff out, but I think they really liked him. No, I know they really liked him. Now, what does that mean? I don't know, because guess what? The Jags really liked their offensive line going into last year. So I don't know if it's a good sign they liked Cooper Hodges, but the bottom line is they do have a body there that they like and they might try to develop. And if they really do like him, Austin, I almost get the sense that's a more of a reason to keep Sheriff, to develop Hodges another year under him, under the veteran. And now Cooper got hurt in that preseason game, was out for the year. So I don't think they like him to the point you're going to take a 7th-round pick and replace a $20 million guy with a 7th-round pick.
Yeah.
But you do wonder if they have an opportunity to get him in more, get him more reps, get him another year of tutelage, develop him a bit, that he could be your right guard down the road. And that would be a hell of a find if you were able to find him like that late in the draft. So That's another reason why I hesitate to think that Sheriff will be gone, because they do have an option in case he were to get hurt or something like that. And at the very least, for 2025, you might have an option to replace him with a younger, cheaper talent in Cooper Hodges. Just a thought.
So if you're to place your bets right now, who the next casualty is going to be, it's Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. All the kids are falling in the swamp. Who do you got next?
I don't have Zay because I just don't think that domino will fall right away. I don't think Sheriff is getting.
Okay. So you're leaning towards Cam? Or no?
I'll take Roy Robertson Harris.
I don't think that can happen.
Brent goes, that's not possible.
Well, just do the books on him. I can't imagine the books line up to even. Now, listen, you can make the case that Foley Fatukasi didn't make a ton of sense for $3.5 million. But the fascinating one to keep an eye on, I don't think they're going to do it. But the fascinating one would be a guy like Foyer, like out of the blue.
Yeah.
Right?
Chad Muma season?
Well, again, this is where you should be. This is where,
but they're not, Brent.
But they're not, right? Yeah. Or do they think they can be? I don't know.
Muma, you only owe like half a $1,000,000.
No, not Muma, but Foyer.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying. Okay.
No, what we're saying is if you move on from Foyer
right.
because you've got young investments in your linebacking spot,
right.
And they also have Ventrell Miller. So if Muma wouldn't work, Ventrell Miller, would he be ready to do it? Like, again, in a perfect world, that's what you want to do. You would want to move on from Foyer. I just don't know if you can move on from a Pro Bowl linebacker.
It's a hard one to call.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a big guy to take away. And you do have to be careful of this. This organization's made this mistake in the past. Veteran guys matter.
Did Nielsen have Foyer in Atlanta?
No, he would have been in New Orleans at that time.
Okay.
They didn't cross over.
Gotcha. Okay.
But you do need veterans. Like, you just got rid of Jenkins.
Yeah.
You just got rid of Darius Williams. You might replace them with two younger players. And you've got other veterans on the roster. But if you take a guy like Foyer off, now you have a lot less veteran leadership. That's a mistake this organization has made at times, where they got almost too young or didn't have enough of those guys on either side of the ball. So I do think you got to be a bit careful of that. Yeah, somebody says they saved nothing, get rid of Roy. They can't. I mean, they just reworked his deal and extended him. That would make no sense. So I think really you're looking at three options from four options. You're looking at Zay Jones, Brendan Sheriff, Cam Robinson, and Foyer. And I'm telling you, I'm not predicting Cam's going to be gone, okay? But based off the conversation of last week, that now Darius Williams did go today, I'm not going to put all my eggs into the basket of, well, Trent said he's under contract, so he's not going anywhere.
Do you think you could get something for Cam Robinson?
I think they could try to do that over the next few days. I think that's why that could linger longer. I still think it might make a lot of – let me just say this about Cam. Here's why it might make sense. And again, I'm a big Cam fan too. And I get why you're a big Cam fan out there. He gives you the edge, right? If you look at one guy, it's like he gives us edge. That's the guys we need. We need more of that. Okay. But now let's take a step back from that. I think he's been a good player, not a great player. Is he amongst the elite in the NFL for $21 million a year? I wouldn't say so. Good, not great. He's missed, I think, 8 games last year because of injury and suspension, and I want to say it was like 6, 7, 8 the year prior. Well, that's not an available player. That's a concern.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have other options at that position that you can play, whether it's Walker Little and Anton Harrison in some way, shape, or form, left and right side. Like, can I talk you into the logic of saving $16 million with everything I just said?
Yeah, you can talk me into it, but we just spent a lot of time talking about how, and this is, about a month ago now, about how Trevor needs to be protected. This offensive line needs to be bolstered up. If you're confident with Walker Little being able to bolster that offensive line, then so be it. But I think Walker Little is a guy who, unfortunately, hasn't been able to get a lot of experience because they're always asking him to play. Hey, you got to play over here. Nope, you're over here now. So are you as confident with Walker Little as you are with Cam Robinson? Against caveats, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. You can't. Can you sit here and say that?
Yeah, from that position, I think.
Then let him go.
I think I can I'm not this technician left tackle guy, okay? So this is a hard one for me to answer that way. But I'll tell you this, Austin, I had no problem with him at left tackle in the first 4 games while Cam was suspended.
Correct.
I thought he played really well. In fact, you might be able to make the case that the 4 best games at left tackle this year were played by Walker Little in the early part of the season. I don't know. I don't even know the PFF grades and all that stuff. I'm just saying, I don't think anybody was complaining about the way Walker Little was playing.
Sure.
So, and now there's, again, you drafted a guy in the first round. There was some talk coming out of Doug Peterson's postseason presser that Anton Harrison could move over to left. I'm not a big fan of that because I thought he played a fine right tackle, let him get acclimated. I think you probably agree with me here.
Correct.
And I thought he grew in that position. And I also think Walker's better at left tackle than he is at right tackle. So I think the most logical move next would be Cam Robinson, either in a trade or a cut for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not predicting it happens. I'm just telling you, I think there's some sense into it.
If you do let him go, I hope you at least try your darndest to get something for him.
And you might be able to.
I
That's
would
a
hope
hot
so.
position, right? I mean, he's still got a lot of good football ahead of him, too. I'm trying to be very careful here to say this isn't me hey, do it. But I just think if you're trying to free up money and you're trying to make some moves and you're trying to change some things around, this is a move that makes more sense than others. Right now, as it sits, it makes more sense than saying Zay Jones, see you later. Makes more sense than Foye Oluokun can see you later, to me.
I know we live in a bubble, and it's all Jaguars pretty much all the time, as it should be. Are there other teams that are cutting starters right now that we're not seeing, or is this kind of a Jacksonville thing? Because if that's the case, then once again, is that saying something?
Yeah, is that saying something? Let's talk about that a little bit more and might even stay on the Cam Robinson front and recap the day. We got a half hour to go until 1 o'clock. You can always find us, by the way, if you missed any of the show today, which has been a pretty hot one with all the news coming down. You can find us Action Sports Jacks 24/7, this brand new network. Right now, we're replaying the show just all the time on our new network just to test everything out. But that means you can see it any time of day on Action News Jacks app. And you can also get it on Roku and Apple TV and Google TV and Vizio and all the rest. ActionNewsJacks.com is an easy place to get it, too. And, of course, we know you're listening on Twitter and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch as well. So we appreciate you hanging out there. Many more ways to get the show, the Brent and Austen Show, and this new network with Action Sports Jacks 24/7. The Jaguars trying to fix the mess at the end of the season, and roster moves are happening here in Jacksonville. We're still waiting on the big domino to fall, though. We'll be right back. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we are a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 1.9% right now for eligible buyers on Terrains and Acadias too. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the Pro Shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jacks Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Thank you for making Action News Jacks the best in Jacks and Folio's Best of Jacks 2023. Best TV station, best TV newscast, best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, best news website and best local blog, the Burrish blog. Thank you for making Action News Jacks local coverage you can count on.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. While the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jacks This Morning team, helping you start your morning right.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Been too busy to play Pac-Man lately. Jaguars playing their own little video game right now on an Excel sheet, most likely, trying to balance the budget and how to get Josh Allen Calvin Ridley on the books by 4 o'clock today, as we are inside 4 hours to make that happen. And I think there is a little bit of hope, I believe, now in the fan base with some of these moves, kind of the way Austin has said this, like, hey, the dominoes are falling in a way that make you think that they're clearing space intentionally because they're getting closer to a deal. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case. I believe it could be the case. But I believe these moves were going to get made at one point or another. Just happened that Foley Fatukasi got cut on his birthday, and it worked out that Rayshon Jenkins and Darius Williams got cut right now instead of tomorrow. It also doesn't mean whatever moves are made by 4 o'clock that they're done. And remember, they have until next week around really Wednesday, but I would say by Monday of next week to have all the moves that they feel they should make done to be able to put themselves in a position to, hopefully by that time, have Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley back, but also make their plans for free agency and their pitches and where else they will go. Because, Austin, that's a big part of this, too, is like, now where are they going to go get their free agents? Are they going to get somebody on the interior line? Are they going to get a defensive tackle? Are they going to get a potential wide receiver if Ridley's not here? Are they going to add now a corner or even a safety, even if it's a moderate level guy, to Band-Aid that spot up so it doesn't put him in a corner in the draft?
Yeah, I think they're going to lean more towards the defense. You know, you could see interior offensive line, maybe just like a depth kind of guy. But like Nielsen, listen, this defense was the vision of Caldwell, of who they have right now in terms of the personnel. Nielsen obviously has a different vision. So I can see them trying to get one or two players in free agency to help Nielsen with that vision.
Yeah, I do too. So let's recap the moves, because I think these are important if you're just jumping in. And I know people are working and other things, and we're right in your lunch hour right now here on the Brent and Austin Show on our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. So Foley Fatukasi is a story yesterday, a little bit of a story. More it's how it happened than that it did happen. Jags saved $3.5 million by cutting him. They will eat some dead money. The Jaguars then today, during the show here, Darius Williams, right around 11 o'clock, the news came out. $10.5 million cap savings for the Jags. Makes some sense. Or it would have been a $10.5 million cap hit. I actually don't know what the savings part was on Darius Williams. Do you see that, Hamby?
Wasn't it 11.5?
Did they save 11.5? Like versus the dead money versus the I'll have to double check. Maybe it was 10.5 savings then, because it didn't make it obvious that they could do it. Rayshon Jenkins then, he's the next one to fall, which obviously was a savings. They're already 3 years into his contract, so usually it works out as a good time to be able to cut a guy like Rayshon Jenkins. To me, he was a prime candidate right from the jump. Plus, you had Antonio Johnson in there as well. So that's kind of where we're at right now. The other part of this is a lot of folks are asking, how does clearing all this space right now indicate if they're going to extend Josh Allen? They have not tagged Josh Allen yet. That announcement has not come out. It doesn't have to come out until around 4 o'clock. That's when we'll get word. But we do have Brian Burns and L'Jarius Sneed and other guys like T. Higgins across the league. That already has come out. They've already come out and saying Saquon Barkley will not be tagged for the Giants. So the indication is that they are really using all this time on the clock to potentially strike a deal with Josh Allen. I wouldn't say it's even an indication. I think that's unfair. That's a little over the top. I think it's more the hope is that's what's going on, because the next domino there, again, if you're just paying attention to the fringe and the headlines, is that would allow them to then tag Calvin Ridley, and you could keep Allen and Ridley under that premise. You cannot tag two players, and that's a little bit of an issue right now for the Jags because they have two candidates with Josh Allen and Ridley.
And a great example of this would be what Tampa Bay is currently trying to do. They had two guys that they want to keep on their team. Mike Evans, obviously, and Winfield Jr., safety. You know, franchise tagging Mike Evans would have put you back a lot of money. I forgot what the exact total price was.
21.
Was it 21?
Yeah, it actually would have saved you
money. I thought, but then they franchise tag him last year?
Oh, was he under the tag last year?
Who's that?
Mike Evans?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, I thought there was like a caveat to that. Okay, but maybe not then. Okay, nevertheless, though, two guys that they wanted to keep. Winfield Jr. and Mike Evans. So when we talk about that, well, what happens? They pay Mike Evans just before the tag, paid him yesterday, and now Winfield is at a case where they're trying to get a deal done as well, but if they can't, reports are saying that they're going to tag Winfield.
The Buccaneers did not use their franchise tag last year.
Okay, gotcha.
Well, here's the interesting thing about the whole Mike Evans thing that has come out over the last 24 hours is that at the beginning of the year, he didn't want to come back to Tampa. Like, he wanted to test the market. Not that he didn't want to come back to Tampa. He wanted to test the market. Well, in the last couple of weeks, he kind of changed his tune, according to reports, that he's like, I want to retire a Tampa Bay Buck. I don't want the market. Let's go get a deal done. So that's kind of how it happened. And again, his deal is a little bit of a marker right now for the Calvin Ridley stuff. Ridley gets shoved to the top of the board because he's the best free agent wide receiver available, but he also, his dollars go up, one, because of supply and demand, and two, because Mike Evans just got $52 million. Now, Evans is better, but if you thought he's going to get $52 million and you're going to be able to sneak in at $33, $34 million for Calvin Ridley, now you're mistaken if you're the Jags.
So real quick, according to Adam Schefter, this was an article, a couple weeks ago. Evans was actually projected to make a franchise tag of $28.4 million. The franchise tag.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he had some stuff. I think there are a couple of guys under this. I think Chris Jones was under this as well.
Yeah.
There's some other stuff there that gets bounced on top of it.
Yeah.
I didn't read the fine print there either.
Sure. So, yeah, you're going to pay 28 and some change to keep Mike Evans on a franchise tag. Yeah, that's obviously why they went after him first in terms of a contract and then not Winfield.
So that's it. That's where we're at. One position, and somebody just brings this up, it's interesting. I mean, they can't do everything in between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. when the Brent Austen show's on. We understand that. But it would be nice if they did. How about a replacement at center? And it's okay, stop the car, right? They're not there yet. But that also, there's nothing to be done there, in fairness, yet. I'm talking right now on March 5th. There's nothing there. That is next week. I'm interested next week because the Jags actually could take some of these dollars, and I know everybody's penning it toward a Josh Allen or a Calvin Ridley. Austin, they could really take some of these dollars and maybe go sign a guy like Frank Ragnow.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And really solidify that center spot.
Yeah, and once again, thankfully the center position in terms of the equity you have to give up is not that high, right? So if you can get a guy who's a sure thing, you know what you're getting, then absolutely. That could use some of that money because you're freeing up some cap space now. Why not get an upgrade at the center position?
My goodness, if the Jaguars want to win the next week, they can extend Josh Allen today, tag Ridley, and sign Frank Ragnow in free agency.
Yeah.
And holy cow, we might throw a parade here in March for St. Patrick's Day at the stadium.
Once again, now we're just playing, we're playing Madden and we're just having fun with everything. But what would happen?
It's not that far-fetched.
No, I'm trying to get a scenario here. What would happen instead of Ragnow, they got Snead?
Oh, that's.
I mean.
That's an interesting call, right?
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Because once again, trying to fit into a new defense.
First of all, both would be good. I mean, Snead probably gets you more excited.
Yes.
Well, no.
Brent, come on.
I say excited as a player, right? As a blue chip player. But I'm telling you, man, I'll ask it right now. I'll see. Would you rather them make a move for Snead or Ragnow? And I bet a poll question would go to Ragnow. Am I feeling that wrong, Hamby? What do you think?
Oh, man. Okay.
If you would have asked me yesterday, I would have said Ragnow. If you asked me today after Darius gets gone, I think the fans would say Snead.
You might be right. I don't feel that. I think they want to change at center so much.
Okay. Put it out there.
I'm going to put it out there.
Who would you rather see the Jaguars go after, Snead or Ragnow?
Because
people are going to ask, hey, who's Ragnow? Don't even don't put lines. Don't just say who would you rather have the Jaguars go after, Snead or Ragnow. No clarification what position they play, and let's.
Oh, you don't even want me to put center?
Oh, so now we have to clarify.
I have to clarify. Well, I was just going to sign Frank Ragnow at center.
Okay, there you go. That's fine.
Well, because yesterday, when Darius was still obviously on the team, I think there's still a lot of fans who believe those two are our starters, and then we won't address corner necessarily first round, and then Jackson Powers-Johnson. That's a popular take, especially on Twitter, is that they're going to address center potentially in the first round with that guy out of Oregon. Now you have no slot. You got to get another outside guy and potentially another receiver with Ridley. Then if you would ask a lot of people 2 weeks ago, center was probably tied for the top position in the first round, what we thought we would draft. Now it's probably third or fourth position-wise on the chart. Could be.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing, okay? Depending on your answer to this, and this is what also could be skewed and change the goalposts, if you will, on this marker. And Austin, I find it actually fascinating, and this is why the Jags do have some answers. Either way, let's just say they take your side and we trade for Snead, maybe a blue chip player, right?
Oh man.
Well, actually, you have hope that they could get the center from Oregon at number 17. Now, there's a lot of mock drafts that have him going up the board even higher at 16, 15, 14. So it might be tough to do, but there's a guy there, right? The other side of it is if I go get a Frank Ragnow, I upgrade center position, I solidify it, I lock it in. Well, you do need a corner or even two. Well, there's plenty of those that are available at 17 as well.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So my point, they have other ways to do this. I just think it's a fun food for thought. I just think there's a desperation in this fan base to upgrade the center spot. I think we're going to lean on the emotion of the fan base here more than the more important position or even like a blue chip player in Snead or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And you'd have to trade now because they tagged Snead, so you'd have to trade for Snead.
Oh yeah,
Right.
obviously. For
So
sure.
it's going to cost you something too.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I think there's other players available for centers in free agency. I think Snead is far above what you can get in free agency in terms of cornerback. You know, and
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
good call.
if that's the case, then you can obviously the first round pick leaves you up to more options. You can
Yeah.
go wide receiver, you know, something a little more sexier. So,
Which will
I don't
also
know.
drive, by the way, that same thought will also drive the price up.
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
a couple of things. Speaking of mock drafts, like I haven't checked out a ton of mock drafts yet. I know we're going to get into a lot of that through the month of April and really after like the Players Championship. Shock Your Mock returns in a different way. We've got all that on the horizon. But I saw two of them that I thought were interesting out of the Athletic today. You know, and at the top there's I'll just give you the brief cliff notes of the Athletic one. The top 12 players were offensive players in this mock draft, which is kind of fascinating. Ended with Brock Bowers. At 13, though, so you get to the defensive side, it's Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo, who's obviously drawing a lot of praise. Dallas Turner from Alabama, the Saints would take him.
Dallas Turner's going in the top 10.
Brian Thomas at 15 to the Colts to pair him up with Pittman. Interesting.
Okay.
The Steelers then in this scenario would trade with Seattle and they get Amarius Mims from Georgia. And then the Jags in this scenario trade with the Eagles, trade down. The Eagles take Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, the corner. And the Jags would slip all the way. And by the way, while the Jags are passing up here at 18, Byron Murphy in this thing, Jared Verse, and Jackson Powers Johnson, because they trade down to 22 where they pick up Nate Wiggins, our skinny corner out of Clemson.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's funny about this one? There's no chance Trent Baalke is taking Nate Wiggins.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing it.
No chance.
Yep.
That is a thing that I feel pretty confident saying based on a guy who loves claims to, or at least the book on him is length or physicality.
He's shown that.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, all these kind of traits. Well, you can't check the box on these traits. There's no way in the first round Nate Wiggins is coming to Jacksonville. I just don't see it.
I'm absolutely with you.
So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting one. Here's a post-combine one from your friends at PFF.
Oh, I can't wait. Hit me with it.
All right, so I'm going to go to the middle of the round. Cooper DeJean at pick 13 for the Raiders.
Okay.
That's about as high as I've seen him.
Safety.
Corner.
A lot of people have him as a safety.
Yeah, I think depends on which defense you're going to play, but I think the Jags would play him at corner.
Right.
Dallas Turner, edge. Again at 14. That's two in a row. Wiggins, 15 to the Colts. Jackson Powers Johnson, the center, out of Oregon, 16 to Seattle.
Yeah, they really need a center.
And then Byron Murphy, 17, the defensive interior lineman from the Texas Longhorns. I think that pick makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I think the Jags want to get cheaper at the interior, and they need people on the interior. Younger, cheaper. This one would make a lot of sense. I actually think that might be, if I were to mock a draft right now, that's where I think the Jags are going. I think they're going to go defensive interior at that position.
Yeah, you're taking Murphy, a guy who, and I know the cat from Florida State made a lot of money, but people are saying he's still the fastest twitch in terms of, defensive tackle. And you need some interior pressure. Obviously, quarterback sacks were very few and far between from the interior of this Jaguars defense. So you bring in Byron Murphy, you think he can hopefully improve on that.
In my mock earlier this morning, I had us trading down to 29.
Hurting my head.
Why?
Hurting my head, Hamby.
Why, Hamby? Why can't we go get a good player?
Well, you're going to get a good player.
Obviously, he doesn't watch Shock Your Mock.
Because, that's considering taking into account that I don't think we're going to have a second-round pick. And
okay, interesting.
We don't want to wait till 79 or whatever it is before we pick again. And I thought we could address the wide receiver position at 29 and then go corner immediately after earlier in the second.
Okay. So the suspense is killing me.
All right, so why don't you just do it? We've got time.
I mean, okay.
Why don't you give it to us?
Drop it.
Keep suspending us.
Yeah.
What do you got?
All right, 1 second. Where is it?
By the way, here's some new information, by the way, out. This is from Pro Football Talk, or probably just from a report, and I'm not diving into it. 2 years, $41 million for Mike Evans, with $11 million in available incentives and escalators, and $29 million fully guaranteed at signing. And so Greg Allman, who covers the Bucs, he retweets it just a few minutes ago. So the original reporting, $26 million a year, is top 5 NFL receiver money. The actual value for the Bucs and Mike Evans is $20.5 million a year, with a chance to be more, but nowhere near the same money. Much better value for the team. Does that change things for how we perceive Calvin Ridley could get?
Say it one more time, please. Say the numbers again.
So here's the story here. I know there's a lot of numbers, and that's a very hard thing to follow. But yesterday it was reported. Let's just quite simply say yesterday it was reported. It was a 2-year, $52 million deal for Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. That's $26 million per, and there was like $35 million guaranteed. Mm-hmm. Much of that in year one. $29 million guaranteed in year one, I think it was.
Jeez.
Okay, so you follow that?
Yeah,
so
I got
52, 35, 29. What they're saying now, it's actually $41 million deal with $11 million in incentives to get to that 52, which makes it a $20.5 million deal,
not
so a
different.
$26 million deal.
Yeah, that's huge.
But what we have to know is like what the incentives are. Like, are they pretty I mean, I assume they're super reachable.
Sounds like cupcakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
I guess, but the bottom line is that does change the basis point. Here's the to me, it changes the basis point of how you would maybe craft a Calvin Ridley deal. Like we're talking all of a sudden, if Evans is getting 26 a year and that's the number, well, now his number goes from 18 million to maybe 22 million. Well, now it doesn't. We're back at around 17, 18, 19 million. If you want to throw incentives in there, Austin, that's fine. And I don't care if they're cupcake incentives, but it does change the structure of how you might view a Calvin Ridley deal now.
No, it does. Absolutely. I can agree with that. But once again, I think, depending what these incentives are, they may have done Mike Evans some favors, right? Because maybe he's trying to play team ball as well. He's been there for a while, so he's trying to be a little more cap friendly in his contract.
Yeah.
Maybe Kevin Ridley wants to be cap friendly as well and help the team out. But once again, I think there's a difference between a guy who's been in Tampa Bay for how long, willing to play ball a little more possibly, versus a guy who's here on a 1-year rental.
Yeah. Again, I think people want to get these deals as high as they want for the next guy anyway. And yes, team friendly does come into play. This is just an interesting note. I mean, this really does kind of change the look of, oh, wow, the Jags are going to be able to go up this high. Do they want to go up this high? This becomes way more attainable of a contract to get if you're Ridley. And by the way, Austin, I would say this. Even if you have to go to 2 years, $38 million or 2 years, $39 million or something and pay up close to like what Evans is getting, maybe minus some of the incentives, that makes it, okay, we can do that. We don't afraid to do that. We don't want to go to 22, 23, but we can go to 18, 19.
Listen, but this only happens, in my opinion, you get the Mike Evans deal if you have the franchise tag on Calvin Ridley. If he's free to go anywhere else, not every single team that's interested in him is going to follow by those rules.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a good note. It's an important note, though. I mean, that just came out in the last half hour when it comes to Ridley about what we were perceived to think. And I know you just said that about the tag. I just think if they're still willing to give up that second-round pick, it maybe makes it more likely of a deal to get done. Because if the Jags, let's just say the Jags were thinking 16, 17 million anyway.
Okay.
Because I thought, this is Brent math here, that my expectation was that's what they would have to pay. Well, my expectation then yesterday went up to like 22 million. I'm like, whoa, 16, 17 to 22? Now that open market, well, if it's really just like 19, that gap is closer than I thought, which makes it obviously more appetizing for the Jags, but also doesn't mean that somebody's going to go drive him up past Mike Evans at 21, 22. Like nobody's going to, even on the open market, say, Calvin Ridley, we're going to pay you more than Mike Evans, are they?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It closes that window much, much more. Maybe this is what Ridley was talking about when he was saying after the show yesterday. He was tweeting a little bit. Yeah. Everybody thinks they're a GM.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe he's talking about you when you said he wouldn't go to the Chiefs over the Jaguars if they gave him the same amount of money.
He might have been talking about me.
Might have been talking about that.
All right,
as well.
Dave, we got like 3 minutes left in the show. Give us some highlights of your mock draft.
All right, I'm going to break this down really quick. So first things first.
I'm going to shock this.
How small is that? Can y'all see that?
I mean, I can kind of see it. I feel like people on their cell phones right now just throw their cell phones out the car window or like.
All right, so the first three
like you once did.
First three quarterbacks: Caleb Drake, Jaden Daniels. First defensive player 8, Dallas Turner to the Falcons. Rome Odunze at 9. So Bears get Caleb Williams Odunze. The Eagles trade up to 12.
You have J.J. McCarthy going to the Giants, huh?
Yeah, at 6.
Okay.
I think I don't think it's
they're
a
in
good
love
move.
With Neighbors. Apparently, the Giants want Neighbors.
Oh, I mean, I have had Neighbors at sliding down to 14.
Okay.
I had which I wouldn't do, but I could see that. JPJ, Jax Powers Johnson's at 16 to the Seahawks. I've seen that a lot, and they need a center.
Brent's got his glasses on.
So the Lions trade up to 17 to take our pick and take Kool-Aid McKinstry with our pick. And we trade down. Amarius Mims is at 19. Byron Murphy at 20. With the Cardinals trading with the Steelers. So the Steelers trade back from 20 to 27 to take Penix Jr. and get an extra second-round pick. I have the Raiders also trading back to take Spencer Rattler in the second round after they sign Russell Wilson to a one-year deal.
Put a lot of work into this.
And the Jags take A.D. Mitchell at 29, which gives them 2 second-round picks, and they can go get Tavondre Sweat, another defensive tackle out of Texas,
Brent, you get some more work to do, I think.
the second center off the board.
Okay, we got a minute left in the show, and so here's the thing. I have a hard time right now you taking this receiver and passing up on Brian Thomas, who slipped all the way to number 28.
Wait.
So it's more like, who are you passing up
I didn't even
on?
notice. So you took Mitchell over Brian Thomas, huh?
No. The Bills took him right before.
No, the Bills took him right before.
Sorry, yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So, like, by you trading down, you miss on Kool-Aid McKinstry, Byron Murphy, I'll even say like a Chop Robinson if you want to add to the edge, Cooper DeJean, and
This was
then
before
Brian
the corner
Thomas.
thing. Before the corner. This was obviously before the show.
All right, just telling you. That's what
Now,
you're missing out
this
on.
would be totally changed, and we're taking corner at 17.
All right, we got to go. Hey, you can watch this show all over again, and it was a fun one. ActionNewsJacks.com or the Action News Jacks app. You can watch it all day long. Action Sports Jacks 24/7. We'll see you on TV tonight, CBS 47, Fox 30, with the latest on Josh Allen, Calvin Ridley, and the rest of the Jaguars roster.